Volume 2, Chapter 322, a scene long anticipated. In an unprecedented turn of events, the Public Health Department of the Fourth Group took drastic measures against the city of Quay by sabotaging its central feces collector. This act of sabotage resulted in the city being inundated with sewage, bringing an immediate halt to the ongoing demonstrations by the Yamray people. The news of this drastic action spread like wildfire, leading to the cessation of similar protests in other cities. The underlying message was clear. No one dared to risk another intervention by the Public Health Department, which could potentially result in their city being flooded with sewage. The construction of the central feces collector had initially been met with optimism. It was touted as a solution for the centralized treatment of domestic sewage, promising to maintain the city's sanitation and prevent secondary environmental pollution. The system was designed not only for convenience in terms of composting and biogas production, but also included features such as a heated top cover to prevent the sewage from freezing in winter, a stirring device to maintain fluidity, and turbines to generate electricity. However, the residents of Quay City were taken aback when the Public Health Department actually went through with the destruction of the central feces collector. This act transformed the once beneficial infrastructure into a looming threat over their heads. The residents found themselves in a dire situation, with no choice but to clean up the mess and repair the damaged infrastructure, despite the overwhelming debt they already faced. The aftermath of the incident left the residents of Quay City in a humiliating position. They were forced to not only clean up the sewage that had flooded their city, but also to negotiate with the Fourth Group for the repair of the central feces collector. The terms were harsh, a steep price for the repairs, and a demand to rename Quay City to Xiangcheng City. This event served as a stark warning to the Yamray people, who from then on treaded carefully, especially around the Fourth Group. The name of the Ministry of Public Health became a symbol of fear, used by parents to scare their children into obedience. The Yamray people's attitude towards the Fourth Group changed drastically, with those employed by the group working diligently, fearing the consequences of any misstep. While the situation with the Fourth Group and the Yamray people seemed to have been resolved, the ripple effects of this incident were felt across neighboring planets, including Kali. The bold actions of the Public Health Department had set a precedent, leaving many to wonder about the balance of power and the lengths to which authorities would go to maintain order. The devastation wrought by the Yamray raiders on their own planet was escalating, and upon realizing that the Kali people had lost their former ruthlessness, the scattered Yamray factions redirected their primary assaults towards the Kali planet. In a series of aggressive raids, swarms of Yamray ships descended upon the Kali world, looting and causing havoc. Some raiders went as far as to desecrate Kali temples, an act that, to the deeply religious Kali people, was tantamount to desecrating the graves of their ancestors. Enraged, the Kali began to muster an army to repel the Yamray invaders, but the dynamics had shifted dramatically since the days when the Yamray had enslaved them. Previously, the Kali had been forced to toil in mines established by their oppressors. After revolting, they initially adopted guerrilla tactics to combat the formidable Yamray. Now, however, the roles were reversed. The Yamray, aboard their airships, conducted hit-and-run raids, while the Kali, lacking in spacecraft, having only a few captured from the Yamray, could barely retaliate. The news of the temple's destruction eventually reached Kali Grievous, a collection agent for the Interstellar Banking Association. Infuriated, he immediately sent a message to Thornhill, his superior, declaring, "I'm returning to planet Kali immediately. I'll tear those despicable Hucks to pieces." Huck was a derogatory term the Kali used for the Yamray. However, Thornhill responded icily, "Mind your language and remember your role, Grievous. You ceased being a Kali the moment you signed a contract with us. You are now a collection agent for the Interstellar Banking Association. You have debts to collect in Hutt space totaling over 100 million credits, and you are to collect them as planned." "It won't take long to deal with those scoundrels," Grievous retorted. "I suggest you prioritize your assigned tasks. We have a contract," Thornhill reminded him. "Damn it, that's it," I resign. To hell with your Interstellar Banking Association. Grievous shouted, tearing off his hood in a rage before smashing the communicator. He then stormed out of the bridge, heading for the shuttle bay. As he prepared to board a shuttle to Kali, a B-1 combat robot approached him, inquiring, "Sir, do you require an escort for your departure?" With a furious swipe, Grievous knocked the robot's head off, boarded the shuttle without a backward glance, set the coordinates, and entered the hyperspace channel, heading straight for the wild space. Back in Thornhill's office, the cold gaze of the supervisor lingered on the holographic projection of a B-1 battle robot reporting the incident. "So, Grievous has indeed departed?" he asked. "Yes, sir. He also destroyed one of our robots. Should we take action against him?" the robot inquired. "He's already in the hyperspace channel," Thornhill dismissed with a wave of his hand. "Let him go. Assign a tactical robot to oversee the collection agent's fleet in his stead." Vol 2, Chapter 323, The End of the Hero. In the vast expanse of wild space, on the planet Kali, within the ancient Temple of the Ancestors, a solemn ceremony was taking place. "The Galactic Republic has abandoned us. The Jedi are supporting our enemies. We fought alone, isolated from all. But you have remained steadfastly by our side. You are our last beacon of hope." An elderly Kali elder, his voice heavy with emotion, addressed General Grievous as he knelt before him. Flanked by more than a dozen elders, they collectively intoned ancient Kali prayers, their voices echoing through the hallowed halls. The elder, with great reverence, lifted a hideous animal bone mask from the altar beside him and carefully placed it upon Grievous's face. Then, with a sudden gesture, he drew his own blood by deeply scratching his chest. Dipping his blood-stained fingers upon the mask's eyes, he smeared downwards, creating two ghastly streaks. "May the souls of our ancestors bless you and grant you invincibility, General Grievous," the elder proclaimed with fervor. "I will not fail," Grievous responded, his eyes burning with a fierce determination from behind the mask. He then strode out of the temple, making his way to a battered and worn spaceship, the elders following closely behind. "This is the finest spaceship we could procure," the elder lamented. "As long as it can fly, it will suffice," Grievous replied curtly, vaulting into the cockpit with agility. As the spaceship ascended, the elders raised their arms, their voices rising in ancient prayers, bestowing their ancestral blessings upon their demigod, their last vestige of hope. As Grievous piloted the spacecraft across Kali's vast sea of Genoa, his mind was already weaving plans to rebuild his forces. This time, he vowed, there would be no mercy. The Yamre would face annihilation. However, unbeknownst to him, a mysterious figure cloaked in a cape stood on an unnamed island in the Genoa Sea, surrounded by a cadre of robots. Watching the direction of Grievous's spacecraft, the figure revealed a neatly combed white beard from under his hood. "He's arrived. Initiate the plan," he commanded. "Roger, roger," a B-1 battle droid acknowledged, lifting binoculars to confirm the target before instructing another droid, "Target locked, fire." A missile launched from the shoulder-mounted launcher of a B-1 battle droid, streaking towards Grievous's spacecraft. An alarm blared within the cockpit, signaling an incoming attack. Grievous attempted evasive maneuvers, but it was too late. The missile struck with devastating force, transforming his spacecraft into a fiery wreck that plummeted into the sea. Keeman-Jai Hilal, known as Grievous, the Kali hero who had valiantly led his people against the Yamre's oppression, was revered as a demigod. Yet, the corruption within the Galactic Republic had thwarted his efforts, rendering the sacrifices of countless Kali lives futile. Now, Grievous's own saga seemed to reach its tragic conclusion amidst a web of conspiracies. Underwater robots retrieved a barely recognizable mass of flesh from the sea, presenting it before the cloaked figure. "He's barely alive, Master Dooku, but death is imminent," a medical robot reported. "I shall use the Force to sustain his heart. Begin emergency treatment immediately, and then place him in a Bacta tank for further recovery," Master Dooku instructed. As they prepared to move him, the mangled form on the ground stirred, raising its head in a defiant gesture. A charred hand, barely more than bone, reached out as if grasping for life itself. "Oh, that's not a good idea," Master Dooku remarked, producing an electric shocker and administering a jolt to subdue the figure once more. "Yet, your remarkable will to survive and the strength of your spirit continue to astonish me, Kali. What belief drives you to such lengths, to still raise your head in defiance even in this state? Do you truly wish to fight for survival? Can you bear living amidst such unbearable pain? He didn't wait for an answer. He gestured dismissively, and 2 droids promptly loaded the decaying flesh onto the spaceship. Master Dooku activated the communicator, and the hologram displayed the figure of Naboo's planetary counselor, Shiv Palpatine. Counselor Palpatine, I have fulfilled your request and dealt with Kali. However, I'm curious, what attributes does Kali possess that warrant our attention? We are on the cusp of achieving something monumental, Master Dooku. We require more power, and Kali, the most brilliant strategist and tactician I have ever encountered, will guide us to victory. Palpatine declared with conviction. I certainly hope so, Master Dooku responded, nodding before he turned off the communicator and made his way back to the spaceship. Inside the spaceship, the decaying body had been placed into a Bacta tank, where the Bacta fluid began to mend his tissues. A medical droid was busy inserting numerous tubes into him to sustain his basic life functions. Master Dooku scoffed, muttering disdainfully, he's nothing but a beast. Meanwhile, on the densely forested planet of Loan, a place almost deemed a no-go zone for intelligent life due to the countless ferocious and cunning creatures lurking within. Some beasts were so formidable they could tear armored vehicles apart. Yet, the planet also yielded many rare commodities, like the fur of its wild animals and plants that couldn't be cultivated artificially. This attracted bounty hunters, though even the most well-armed rarely dared to venture deep into the jungle. However, at this moment, deep within the jungle, a fierce battle was unfolding. A lone figure, cloaked in black, was engaged in combat with a group of beasts. As he moved, his cloak billowed, revealing a black outfit and his muscular physique. He wielded a red lightsaber, moving with incredible speed and precision, effortlessly dodging a beast's sharp claw before counterattacking in a flash. From the perspective of a feline-like beast, one moment it saw its prey, and the next, all it saw was the lightsaber. The blood-red blade sliced through the head of one creature as easily as cutting through tofu. Then the man narrowly avoided several sharp tentacles that whizzed past his face and embedded themselves into a nearby tree. With swift movements, his lightsaber danced, slicing the tentacles into segments, followed by a roar from the shadowy depths of the forest. Narrowing his eyes, the man extended his hand, summoning an invisible force that dragged a tiger-sized beast with 8 sharp claws and numerous tentacles on its back out from the shadows. Its gaping maw emitted a terrifying roar. A cruel smirk crossed the man's face as he launched his lightsaber, which spun like a top, dismembering the beast in an instant. As the battle concluded, he surveyed the chaotic scene around him, the woods littered with the dismembered corpses of beasts. With a cold snort, he lifted his hood, revealing his identity, Darth Marthael. Vol 2, Chapter 324, The Final Trial. Darth Plagueis appeared in the holographic projection, his voice cold, yet filled with a hint of approval. It seems you're still alive. Planet Loan was too easy for you, abundant in food and water. It must have felt like a vacation. I am committed to fulfilling any task the Lord assigns, Darth Marthael replied, kneeling on one knee with utmost respect. I am pleased with your loyalty. Now you face the final trial. Succeed, and you will truly become a Sith, your name etched in the Book of Sith as a Lord of the Sith. Darth Plagueis declared, his tone conveying the immense honor of such recognition. Please, my lord, give me your command, Darth Marthael responded, his head bowed. Darth Plagueis nodded, satisfied. Overcoming this last hurdle will prove my faith in you is not misplaced. Our plan is at a critical juncture, and though my time is increasingly scarce, I will dedicate what I can to make you the most formidable force in the galaxy. Believe in your potential. It is my honor, Darth Marthael said, acknowledging the dwindling time Darth Plagueis had for him. Lately, his training had shifted towards self-study of manuscripts and execution of assassination trials. This shift, however, seemed to be a strategic move by Plagueis, possibly due to Marthael's unwavering loyalty and potential, focusing on enhancing his knowledge and power rather than indoctrinating him with Sith dogma. Darth Plagueis transmitted a set of coordinates to Marthael. Take 3 days to prepare, then head to these coordinates. Planet Hyperion? Darth Marthiel thought, a sense of foreboding filling him. Correct. Hyperion is off the Galactic Republic star maps, housing a vast robot factory. Its surface is an endless desert, devoid of food and water, populated only by robots and relentless pursuit, Darth Plagueis explained, his gaze intense. You may choose not to go, but remember, both Darth Sidious and Darth Maul have endured this trial, surviving a month on Hyperion. Do you believe you can match that? Darth Marthiel understood the implicit threat in Plagueis' offer. Despite his reluctance, he mustered a determined smile and replied, I will complete this trial and prove my worth, my lord. Back on the Glory Mothership in the Endor galaxy, Tang Xiao convened the core leaders of the Fourth Civilization to strategize their next steps. With the military development already underway, the focus was on expanding their foundational market. The Fourth Civilization's immediate goals were to increase the population, expand factories, and add mines. Infrastructure and supporting facilities needed to be developed to support the rapid military expansion. Tang Xiao's decisions were pivotal. He ordered 10 Predator-class heavy supply ships from the Trade Alliance, planning to convert them into light aircraft carriers. The previously captured and converted Predator class, named Homeland, set the precedent for these new carriers, despite their limitation of launching only one fighter at a time, which significantly reduced their launch rate. The armor was heavy and its firepower formidable, making it an ideal choice for an aircraft carrier. The Home-class light carriers were designated to bolster the fleet's carrier line until the first aircraft carrier engineered by the Fourth Civilization was commissioned. Additionally, an order for 10 million B-1 combat robots was placed with the Union. These robots were to be deployed as battleship-controlled models, taking over all logistical roles including firefighting, damage control, maintenance, ground, air handling, and transportation. Tang Xiao, however, was hesitant about assigning the B-1 robots to these positions. His mind was haunted by images of Feilong, Dafeng, and Shinano, reminiscent of World War II. In the vast expanse of space where battles raged, the importance of damage control and logistics was magnified. Without efficient damage control, the loss of a ship was a very real possibility. Although the technology library contained designs for professional maintenance ships, the flexibility and reliability of an onboard damage control team during intense battles were unmatched. The population issue within the Fourth Civilization posed a significant challenge. For instance, the Higuera-class battlecruisers, stretching 1,009 meters in length, required a crew of over 3,000. The navy of the Fourth Civilization was stretched thin, unable to commission many more vessels. After finalizing these critical decisions, Tang Xiao took a few days to relax, spending time with Gross Shelbia, who was notably shy and reserved. They then set off towards the coordinates provided by Darth Pregs, heading for the planet Hyperion. Located in the outer ring of the Milky Way, within the remote Pheera star sector, Hyperion was a barren world. Its diameter spanned approximately 13,000 kilometers, slightly larger than Earth, but it possessed only a thin atmosphere, rendering it inhospitable for ordinary life. Only those with a strong connection to the Force could survive there, shielded by its power. Hyperion was under the jurisdiction of the Technology Alliance, with Walter Tambor utilizing it as a robot manufacturing hub. The planet's harsh conditions also made it an ideal training ground for Hego Damask II. The Achani Sun Guard, once protectors of the planet Sojourn, trained on Hyperion. Unfortunately, Sojourn was destroyed in a plot orchestrated by Ars Varuna, the former king of Naboo, among others, leading to the disbandment of this elite guard without much historical acknowledgement. As Tang Xiao piloted the shuttle towards Hyperion, an alarm abruptly blared from the radar. A black fighter jet, swift as lightning, was hurtling towards him. Vol 2, Chapter 325, The Trial Begins. The trial commenced with Darth Marthiel taken aback, his hands swiftly maneuvering the joystick to ascend, aiming to create distance between him and his pursuer. However, the adversary's black fighter clung to him with relentless speed. Darth Marthiel, tapping into his heightened state, unleashed the full extent of his force. His surroundings, along with the trajectory of the opposing black fighter in the ensuing seconds, were vividly mapped out in his mind. With precise control, he decelerated and executed a sharp left turn. He anticipated the enemy's fighter to veer right in response, its speed so formidable that if he slowed, it would dart past him. In that fleeting moment, their spaceships would align in a T formation, with Darth Marthael at the tail and the black fighter at the head, positioning him perfectly for an unreturnable attack. However, as Darth Marthael was about to fire, the black fighter unexpectedly swerved left, defying his predictions. The two spacecraft drew parallel circles in the sky, one fast, the other slow. Narrowing his eyes, Darth Marthael realized the enemy was about to strike. He plunged into a dive, and as the black fighter soared overhead, it unleashed a barrage of laser beams. As their paths crossed, Darth Marthael sensed an overwhelming dark force emanating from the black fighter. There was no doubt in his mind. The only being capable of such power on the planet Hypori, intercepting him with such precision, was Darth Plagueis. The flight computer's scan of the opposing fighter concluded with an unknown status. The galaxy's ship database had no record of such a model. Yet Darth Marthael recognized it. This was Darth Plagueis's custom ship, the Scimitar, a masterpiece from the Advanced Projects Laboratory of CNR Fleet Systems, and arguably the most sophisticated messenger spacecraft in the galaxy. This terrifying vessel was a testament to the Sith's legacy, with each lord commissioning a powerful and clandestine spaceship for their covert missions, dubbed the Sith Infiltrator. The Scimitar, with its unparalleled engine thrust and maneuverability, outclassed Darth Marthael's Red Comet by leaps and bounds. It boasted cutting-edge technology, some still in experimental phases, making it prohibitively expensive and impossible to mass-produce. Darth Marthael's heart sank as he realized the Scimitar's radar and visual signals had vanished. It was equipped with a stealth system capable of optical and radar invisibility. A bead of sweat trickled down his forehead as he abruptly veered left, the ship's shield shimmering under the brief laser assault. Though the attack was fleeting, it sent his heart racing. Hovering at an altitude of 60,000 meters above the planet Hyperion, Darth Marthael knew a fall from this height would be unsurvivable, even for a Force user of his caliber. As another wave of danger loomed from behind, he swiftly turned, ready to face whatever came next. Under a barrage of red lasers from behind, the spacecraft's shield was hit hard once again. Despite its stealth capabilities, the Sith Infiltrator was armed with laser cannons rather than blasters, mitigating the extent of the damage. However, the situation was dire. If the onslaught continued, Darth Marthael's demise was certain. The final trial had commenced with Darth Plagueis leading the charge. Darth Marthael quickly grasped Darth Plagueis's intentions. Opting not to activate the stealth system immediately, Plagueis launched an initial attack as a form of greeting to Marthael, signaling the start of the trial. The message was clear. The trial was underway, and it was time to seek divine intervention. The shuttle piloted by Marthael, a priest-class model, was ill-equipped with avionics and radar systems, making it virtually impossible to detect the stealthy Sith Infiltrator. Thus, the aerial battle was inherently asymmetrical, a game of cat and mouse where the prey was blind. Marthael's only recourse was to rely on his Force abilities to dodge and anticipate attacks, turning the dogfight into a duel of foresight between him and Plagueis. In aerial combat involving two adept Force users, the battle transcends physical maneuvers, becoming a clash of predictive powers. Each pilot attempts to outguess the other in a complex chain of prejudgments, akin to an infinite series of nesting dolls. Darth Marthael maneuvered the shuttle into a rapid dive, but the Sith Infiltrator, prepared for such tactics, maintained a low altitude. Seizing the moment, Marthael's shuttle entered the dive, the Infiltrator surged upwards, forcing Marthael back into the sky with a burst of firepower. The air battle, lasting merely 2 minutes, was an intense exchange of foresight and anticipation, pushing Marthael's Force abilities to their limits. His temples throbbed, and his vision began to blur with specks of light. Failure to outpredict Plagueis meant certain death. Desperation set in. Marthael's mind raced, discarding plan after plan, as each seemed to lead to a dead end. Facing a Sith Lord like Plagueis, there was no room for mercy or error, regardless of one's value to him. Then, in a moment of clarity, Marthael recalled a technique he had learned over the past 3 years. With a newfound resolve, he narrowed his eyes. gripped the joystick, and steered the shuttle directly towards the Sith infiltrator, guided by his Force perception. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter. The Scimitar, a machete-shaped fighter craft. Vol 2, Chapter 326, The Dead. The latest update, Chapter 326, The Dead. A lifeline. Indeed, if one disregards whether Darth Plagueis would ultimately spare his life, then a glimmer of hope remains. His title, Darth Marthael, carries significant weight. If the situation is as I've surmised, then the power inherent in the name Malthael encompasses both wisdom and death. While the power of wisdom remains latent, the power of death, already manifest, not only allows for the absorption of energy from the recently deceased, but also facilitates communication with the wills of the departed. This, however, typically demands a formidable will. Viewed from a different perspective, this could be interpreted as interaction with the soul. The universe of Star Wars acknowledges the existence of souls, which play a crucial role. Moreover, the more potent the Force user, the stronger their soul. This is evident in the heroic spirits of Master Yoda, Master Qui-Gon Jinn, and Master Obi-Wan Kenobi after their deaths. In essence, the Force can directly interact with the soul, and so can I. Darth Malthael's eyes narrowed in contemplation. However, Darth Plagueis is not deceased, and the consequences of tampering with his soul while he lives remain unknown. Darth Marthael has no interest in engaging with Darth Plagueis' soul or will. His target is someone else, someone who has passed, Darth Tenebris, the master of Darth Plagueis. Darth Tenebris was a wise Sith Lord who recognized the potential in Darko Damask Tsu from a young age and molded him into Darth Plagueis. Plagueis' research also stemmed from Darth Tenebris. Adhering to the Sith tradition of betrayal during an expedition to a cortosis mine rumored to neutralize Jedi lightsabers, an explosion and subsequent collapse trapped the master and apprentice underground. Seizing the moment, Darth Plagueis murdered his master, Darth Tenebris. However, Tenebris had a contingency in place. He had developed a retrovirus capable of infecting midichlorians, which he had introduced into his own body. Upon his death at the hands of Darth Plagueis, he transferred part of his midichlorians into Plagueis, successfully infecting him with the retrovirus. Tenebris's plan was to resurrect himself by infecting Plagueis' midichlorians. Unfortunately, the virus had a side effect. It robbed the host of the ability to perceive fate. Initially, Tenebris's lingering will was content to observe Plagueis' loss of foresight. However, upon realizing that Plagueis would eventually be killed by his own apprentice, Tenebris experienced a moment of regret. He attempted to extract the retrovirus from Plagueis' body, but it was too late. Plagueis' ability to foresee the future was permanently impaired, leaving him with only a vague sense of what was to come. Ultimately, Tenebris was not resurrected, and his remnants continue to wander the shafts of the concealed cortosis mine. But Darth Marthael's eyes gleamed with determination. Since Darth Tenebris once inhabited the body of Darth Plagueis, remnants must still exist. However, to detect the remnants of Tenebris, one must venture close enough. Malthael maneuvered the shuttle, channeling all the shield energy to the front of the spacecraft, preparing for what was to come. A lifeline. Indeed, if one disregards whether Darth Plagueis would ultimately spare his life, then a glimmer of hope remains. His title, Darth Marthael, suggests a profound connection to both wisdom and death. While the power of wisdom has yet to reveal itself, the already manifested power of death offers not only the ability to absorb the energy of the recently deceased, but also to communicate with their wills, a feat requiring a formidable will. This could also be seen as an interaction with the soul, affirming the existence and significance of souls within the Star Wars universe. The stronger the Force user, the more potent their soul, as evidenced by the heroic spirits of Master Yoda, Master Qui-Gon Jinn, and Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Thus the Force, and by extension, can directly interact with the soul. The concept that the world possesses a soul is not just a mere belief, it holds a significant position in the universe. This is especially true for users of the Force, where the strength of their soul is directly proportional to their mastery over the Force. Esteemed figures such as Master Yoda, Master Qui-Gon Jinn, and Master Obi-Wan Kenobi all left behind heroic spirits upon their demise. This phenomenon illustrates that the Force can indeed interact directly with the soul. Darth Malthael, with narrowed eyes, pondered over this revelation. However, his interest was not in contacting the soul of Darth Plagueis, who was still among the living and whose fate upon such an interaction remained uncertain. Instead, Darth Malthael's curiosity was piqued by another, one who had already passed away, Darth Tenebris, the master of Darth Plagueis. Darth Tenebris was a wise and cunning Sith Lord, known for recognizing the potential in a young Darko Damask II and nurturing him into the formidable Darth Plagueis. Much of Plagueis's research and knowledge were inherited from Darth Tenebris. However, in a twist of fate that adhered to the dark tradition of betrayal within the Sith, both master and apprentice found themselves trapped under a collapsed cortosis mine, rumored to have the power to disable a Jedi's lightsaber. Sensing an opportune moment, Darth Plagueis chose to betray and kill his master, Darth Tenebris. Unbeknownst to Plagueis, Darth Tenebris had foreseen such a possibility and had prepared a contingency plan. He had developed a retrovirus capable of infecting the midi-chlorians within his body. In his final moments, as he was struck down by Darth Plagueis, Tenebris managed to transfer part of his infected midi-chlorians into Plagueis, successfully infecting him with the retrovirus. Tenebris's plan was to use this virus to infect the midi-chlorians in Plagueis, thereby resurrecting himself through his apprentice's body. The continuation of this tale will be available shortly. Please refresh the page in half an hour to discover the unfolding events. Volume 2, Chapter 327, Final Exam. A month from now, I will return to collect your remains. Darth Plagueis's chilling voice echoed through the public communication channel of the rescue capsule. Darth Malthael, unable to contain his disdain, spat at the screen and cursed in his most familiar tongue. Bah, you're nothing but a joke. In truth, since Darth Malthael had come to know Darth Plagueis, he found the Sith Lord to be relatively approachable, perhaps due to the respect and loyalty he had shown. This reminded him of how Darth Plagueis treated his first apprentice, Darth Sidious, demanding but fair, save for the rigorous training. This could be attributed to the legacy of Lord Bane, who established the rule of two. The Sith must always consist of only two members, a master and an apprentice, to ensure the survival and prosperity of their lineage. This principle underscored the importance of inheritance among the Sith. They revered the cycle of the apprentice, surpassing and potentially overthrowing the master, as a testament to the strength and continuity of their order. Despite Darth Tenebris and Darth Plagueis occasionally bending the rules of the Rule of Two, their commitment to this legacy was unwavering. Even when Darth Tenebris was slain by Darth Plagueis, he chose to forgo his chance at resurrection to prevent his own virus from being used against Plagueis by his successor. This decision, although ultimately futile, highlighted the complex dynamics of loyalty and ambition within the Sith hierarchy. However, Darth Plagueis's recent actions, particularly his willingness to sacrifice his own apprentice, marked a departure from this tradition. Darth Malthael couldn't help but worry about the implications of his confrontation with the will of Dastinabols, hoping it wouldn't jeopardize their ultimate goal. Disturbed by these thoughts, Darth Malthael forcefully opened the hatch of the rescue capsule and inventoried the supplies. 5 bottles of water and 2 compressed biscuits, hastily grabbed during his escape. He lamented the loss of additional provisions stored in the shuttle, now destroyed in the explosion. Suddenly, a sense of danger drew his attention to a group of robots advancing towards him. These were B-2 series super battle droids, distinguishable by their silver-gray, necklace, round bodies, and visibly thicker armor compared to the B-1 combat robots. As the droids approached the capsule, Darth Malthael sprang into action. Leaping to a vantage point, he concealed his presence using the Force and observed the enemy. Without hesitation, he descended upon them, his cloak obscuring a droid's sensors as his lightsaber swiftly cleaved through the thick armor of another, splitting it into 4 pieces. The remaining droids responded with a barrage of blaster fire, but Darth Malthael, guided by the Force, deflected their shots with his lightsaber, sending the beams back at them. His movements were swift and precise, a blur of motion that left several droids bisected before they could react. The battle was a testament to Darth Malthael's mastery of the Force and his lightsaber skills, as he stood amidst the wreckage of his foes, a lone Sith against the machinery of war. Darth Marthael deflected a punch with his arm, retreating with the momentum before his blood-red lightsaber sliced through the air, cutting a B-2 super battle droid in half. The upper body of the robot crashed to the ground with a thud. Grimacing, Darth Marthael shook his bruised and swollen arm, channeling the life force to hasten the healing of his injuries. The B-2 super battle droids were significantly more formidable than their B-1 counterparts, boasting superior strength, reflexes, and armor. He had just experienced their might firsthand, realizing that repelling them with the Force would require much more power. As he contemplated the month ahead on this desolate planet, swarming with such robots, Darth Marthael couldn't help but curse under his breath. The landscape was a barren expanse of desert and Gobi, devoid of any greenery, thin air that made survival a challenge. He had to constantly harness the original Force to maintain a protective barrier and ensure internal circulation within his body, preventing oxygen deprivation-induced unconsciousness. Determined not to linger, Darth Marthael quickly vacated the area. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, another individual was on the verge of a life-and-death trial. Alexei Garin, the leader of the Black Sun, faced his own set of challenges. The Black Sun had suffered a significant setback when Vigo Cash Galilun, one of its 9 Vigos, led an ill-fated invasion of the Endor galaxy, resulting in the annihilation of their forces. The Cash Galilun debacle was merely the spark that exposed vulnerabilities within the Black Sun's intricate network of alliances. The true catalyst for the hostility from major powers like the Trade Federation, the Corporate Alliance, and the Interstellar Banking Clan was Alexei Garin's audacity in provoking Hego Damask II, a figure of considerable influence. Underestimating Hego Damask II, much like Ars Varuna, the former king of Naboo, had been a grave error. Garin had perceived Hego merely as a prominent businessman and former co-chair of the Interstellar Banking Clan. However, with Darth Sidious's covert support, the Black Sun embarked on a daring assassination attempt against Hego, successfully targeting his favored base on the planet Sojolan. Contrary to their expectations, the attack did not eliminate Hego, but instead provoked a fierce retaliation. Hego Damask II's command rallied the Interstellar Banking Clan and the Trade Federation against the Black Sun, with the Corporate Alliance joining the fray soon after. This united front of powerful entities launched a relentless siege against the Black Sun, leaving the organization reeling from the unexpected onslaught. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, B-2 Super Battle Robot. Volume 2, Chapter 328, The Way of the Sith. Being encircled and suppressed by the 4 major corporations was not the worst part for Black Sun. The true terror lay in the shadows behind these corporations. Darth Plagueis, Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, and Darth Marthael. These names represented the deepest darkness in the galaxy, and by provoking them, Black Sun had essentially sealed its fate. Over the past 2 years, Black Sun's enterprises faced devastating attacks. The corporations, flush with funds, employed a dual strategy against Black Sun's laundered industries. They kidnapped shareholders for hostile takeovers and shorted their stocks. For the illegal operations, their approach was more straightforward: violence and vandalism. The Fourth Group, lacking the financial resources for economic warfare, deployed Tang Xiao with a modest fleet to seize Black Sun's assets. Tang Xiao, demonstrating remarkable capability, carved out a significant portion of Black Sun's empire for himself, establishing a formidable underground force. Operating from Murkana, the former stronghold of Vigo Cash Garulun, Tang Xiao didn't concern himself with legitimacy. His position allowed him to straddle the worlds of crime and corporate leadership seamlessly. Through smuggling and various illicit activities, he amassed power and wealth. Under Tang Xiao's guidance, Tang Xiao forged alliances with Corellia's major gangs, Scarlet Dawn and White Worm, aiming to extend his influence to the galaxy's wealthier planets. Meanwhile, Black Sun, battered by continuous assaults, found itself without any prospects for recovery. In a Coruscant basement, Darth Maul confronted Vigo Darnata, a man in the throes of panic. Wielding a red double-bladed lightsaber, Maul demanded information about Alexei Garin, believing Darnata knew of his whereabouts. Darnata, terrified and desperate, claimed ignorance about Garin's secret fortress, but offered information on another Vigo, Morn, who might know its location. Darnata, hoping to bargain for his life, revealed that Garen was Force-sensitive and protected by Magella, a member of the Dark Knight Guild, also strong with the Force. This information, he hoped, would be enough to spare him from Maul's wrath. This chapter reveals the intricate power struggles within the galaxy, highlighting the ruthlessness of the Sith and the desperate measures taken by those caught in their crosshairs. The alliances and betrayals underscore the volatile nature of this universe, where power is both a weapon and a target. Darth Maul sneered disdainfully, "Since when can mere fish and decaying shrimp be compared to Jedi Knights? Who are you underestimating? If Jedi Knights are on par with such lowly creatures, then what does that make us?" "No, that's not what I meant." Before Vigo Darnata could finish his plea, a flash of crimson light from Darth Maul's lightsaber severed his words along with his head. "You don't have enough leverage to bargain for your life," Darth Maul said with a cold grin, turning away from the lifeless body. A day later, on the planet Daka, a brutal interrogation was coming to an end. Darth Maul, with a chilling gaze, lifted the Mon Calamari named Vigo Morn, demanding, "Vigo Morn, tell me, where is Alexis Garen?" Cough. Vigo Morn struggled in vain, his hesitation palpable. Refusing to speak, Darth Maul's grin widened menacingly. With a casual wave of his hand, his lightsaber sliced through wooden furniture, igniting it instantly. He dragged Vigo Morn closer to the flames. Mon Calamari, being an aquatic species, harbored an innate fear of fire. Vigo Morn's screams intensified as the flames drew nearer. Under the threat of the scorching blaze, Vigo Morn's resolve crumbled. "Raltir! Alexis Garen is in his fortress on the planet Raltir. I've told you everything. Now please let me go. Forgive me, don't kill me." With a satisfied chuckle, Darth Maul callously threw Vigo Morn into the fire. As Vigo Morn's screams turned into a horrifying shriek, Darth Maul contacted Darth Sidious. A hologram of Darth Sidious, shrouded in a black cloak revealing only his hooked nose and thin chin, appeared before him. Darth Maul knelt on one knee, respectfully reporting, "Your Highness, I've located the last stronghold of the Black Sun. Alexis Garen has gathered his remaining forces in the fortress on Raltir." "Wait. Let me savor this moment," Darth Sidious interrupted, his attention momentarily captured by the fading screams of Vigo Morn. A twisted smile crept onto his face as he listened with perverse pleasure. Once the screams subsided, he sighed contentedly and said with a malevolent grin, "Now that you've discovered Alexis Garen's location, extract every piece of information from him. He dared to assassinate our Lord Darth Plagueis. He must pay the price, for the glory of the dark side." "But, Your Highness, the Trade Federation and the Interstellar Banking Association have already seized most of the Black Sun's assets, and the Fourth Group is also making moves," Darth Maul informed. "These are merely the visible fragments of Black Sun's power. Alexis Garen has no idea how to wield the true strength at his disposal, but I do." Darth Sidious sneered, revealing his grand scheme. "I have already planted Zomit, Grunsite, and Zeton Moj within the Black Sun. They will seize control of this organization on my behalf, turning it into a weapon for my use." "Your will shall be done, my lord," Darth Maul responded, bowing his head. Darth Sidious dismissed him with a wave, and Darth Maul ended the communication. As he looked towards the industrial area of Coruscant, a place he frequented, his expression grew increasingly sinister. "Your power continues to grow, and so must mine. Isn't that right, my lord Darth Plagueis? Everything I do is for the Sith, for the galaxy as a whole." His laughter, twisted and maniacal, echoed through the desolate factory district, a chilling testament to his dark resolve. Vol. 2, Chapter 329, Desolation and Ruin. "The Black Sun has been annihilated, my lord. This once formidable organization, known as the galaxy's largest syndicate, has now been relegated to the annals of history. Its remnants nothing more than a few scattered survivors, forever diminished," Darth Sidious reported, kneeling respectfully before Darth Plagueis. "Indeed? The Black Sun has fallen?" Darth Plagueis lifted his gaze, intrigued. "Yes, my lord. Darth Maul discovered their final stronghold on the planet Raltil. There, Alexis Garen, the leader of the Black Sun, was hiding alongside Mi Jellar, a member of the Sisterhood of the Night whom he had enlisted," Sidious explained. "The Sisterhood of the Night? I was under the impression they secluded themselves on Dathomir, engrossed in their arcane rituals." It's quite unusual for them to venture out and align with the Black Sun, Darth Plagueis mused, his brow furrowing. Indeed, but not even the Sisterhood of the Night could withstand the might of our Sith. Darth Maul eradicated them all, sparing none of the Black Sun's leadership. Their heads were displayed in a macabre arrangement before being consumed by fire. A fitting testament to our reign of terror, Sidious declared with a malevolent chuckle. Excellent. The collapse of the Black Sun leaves a vacuum in the galaxy's underworld, a void we shall fill, strengthening our grip on the galaxy. Ha! Darth Plagueis reveled in the news. Sidious continued. Years of rigorous training and refinement have honed Darth Maul into a formidable weapon. He has proven his worth time and again, flawlessly executing every mission. I am confident he will play a pivotal role in our grand scheme. Darth Plagueis regarded Sidious, perceiving the request for recognition and further assessment of the master-apprentice dynamic between him and Darth Maul. However, Plagueis merely smiled subtly and remarked, "You've trained Darth Maul well, if only I didn't have to intervene occasionally. For instance, with Lorn Pawan." His gaze swept over Sidious, sharp and calculating. Darth Maul had located Lorn Pawan's hideout, but encountered unexpected obstacles. Nonetheless, he completed his mission. Sidious offered vaguely, using the opportunity to gauge Plagueis' reaction to the possibility of another apprentice or ally involved in the mission. "I certainly hope he did complete the task," Plagueis responded, his words laced with veiled threat. Sidious, sensing the danger, bowed even lower, a gesture of utmost submission. "Our plan is approaching a critical juncture. The countdown to Finis Valorum's resignation has begun. When the dust settles, you and Darth Maul will receive the rewards you deserve." Plagueis shifted the topic, subtly dismissing Sidious's earlier request for recognition. "It is our honor," Sidious murmured, head bowed. "Considering your solitary position in the Galactic Council, I've decided to join you at an opportune moment and aid in the election of the Speaker. What are your thoughts?" Plagueis proposed suddenly. "I will make the necessary arrangements immediately. Within 7 standard days, you should be able to join the Galactic Council as an economic advisor, leveraging your former role as co-chairman of the Interstellar Banking Association." Sidious replied promptly, his words flowing smoothly as if he had rehearsed this plan extensively. "That will suffice," Darth Plagueis concluded with an air of cold finality, ending the communication abruptly. Sidious's expression remained composed, yet the wheels in his mind were already turning, plotting the next moves in their intricate game of galactic domination. The sky instantly darkened over the desolate landscape of Hyperion Planet. The monotonous rhythm of marching echoed as a group of robots patrolled the area. Their movements were precise, leaving no stone unturned in their search for anomalies. However, finding nothing out of the ordinary, they soon moved on, disappearing into the distance. After a considerable time had passed, a subtle disturbance stirred the sea of yellow sand. A mound formed on the surface, and from beneath it, a figure emerged. It was Darth Marthael. But in his current state, he was a far cry from the man who might return to the Glory Mothership. Without a DNA scan for verification, it was doubtful anyone would recognize him. Covered in grime, his face was obscured by a thick beard, his eye sockets deeply sunken, and his lips cracked from dehydration. His once robust physique had withered away, leaving him as gaunt as a skeleton. His attire consisted of a makeshift cloak, fashioned from what used to be a shirt, now adorned with stones and gravel to blend into the scorching desert sands. This clever disguise rendered him invisible to the patrolling robot's sensors. Surviving in the blistering heat of the desert, where temperatures soared above 60 degrees Celsius, was a feat not many could endure. For an entire month, Darth Marthael had endured the hellish conditions of Hyperion Planet, a world dominated by deserts and factories, its landscape overrun with robots. The scarcity of resources forced him to repurpose his clothing for protection and scavenge for sustenance in the most perilous of places. Water was a rare commodity, compelling him to infiltrate the underground factories for a sip of industrial water tainted with the taste of engine oil and rust. The absence of any form of life meant food was non-existent, save for the mutated insects he discovered in the wastewater discharge areas of the factories. Utilizing the life force manipulation techniques taught by Darth Plagueis, he transformed these insects, growing tumors that, despite their repulsive appearance, were relatively free of pollutants, which he then consumed. The relentless pursuit by the robots added to his woes. His shuttle's crash landing, orchestrated by Darth Plagueis, had alerted every droid on the planet to his presence, turning the desert into a battleground where the robots tirelessly searched for him. Initially, Darth Marthael entertained the idea of thinning their numbers to ease the pressure. However, this proved futile, as for every patrol he managed to eliminate, 10 more would swiftly take their place. The robots had upgraded their arsenal, equipping the B-2 super combat robots with rocket launchers, rendering his blaster gun almost useless. Faced with these insurmountable odds, Darth Marthael's greatest challenge lay in the fact that his most potent ability, the control over the power of death, was rendered ineffective in a land devoid of life. The irony of his situation was not lost on him. Surrounded by death, yet unable to wield his power against the mechanical foes that hunted him relentlessly. Vol 2, Chapter 330, Trial, Completion, and Reward. Darth Marthael found himself in a dire situation, forced to become a master of evasion. Whenever a patrol of robots approached, he had no choice but to dig holes in the ground, concealing himself until they passed. It was during these moments of desperation that he uncovered the true purpose behind Darth Plagueis' decision to set the training ground on the desolate planet of Hypori. The planet's harsh conditions meant that the only reliable resource was the Force itself. Whether it was condensing water droplets from the arid air, using the Force to cultivate edible growths on mutant insects, or sensing the imminent danger of relentless robot pursuers, survival hinged on one's ability to harness the Force. This trial was designed to push one's Force abilities to their absolute limit, offering a slim chance of survival. Darth Marthael came to realize his disadvantage among Darth Plagueis' disciples. Darth Sidious's mastery of the Force far exceeded his own, and Darth Maul's physical prowess was unmatched. In a direct confrontation, he stood little chance, especially since his most relied-upon power, the power of death, was rendered useless in this environment. To make matters worse, Darth Plagueis had destroyed his shuttle, leaving him without the supplies that could have easily sustained him for months. Despite these challenges, Darth Marthael acknowledged that his progress in mastering the Force had accelerated significantly during this trial. He learned to meditate even in his sleep, seizing every moment to replenish his Force energy. The relentless pursuit of the robots, capable of tracking him across vast distances, forced him to push his limits. His record escape involved evading a horde of B-2 super battle robots over 800 kilometers, with the number of pursuers swelling to over 10,000. Only by leaping into a Grand Canyon and concealing himself beneath a volcanic crater was he able to evade capture, his skin healing from severe burns through the life-sustaining power of the Force. On the final day of the trial, Darth Marthael awaited rescue, his beard unkempt and his gaze fixed on the sky. Yet no spaceship appeared, and he found himself fleeing from a squad of B-2 super battle robots. After a day-long chase, with his energy depleted and prepared for a last stand, the robots suddenly halted. Their red indicator lights switched to green, and they declared the area safe before retreating. It was then that Darth Marthael realized Darth Plagueis had intervened, adding him to the control center's identification system. Exhausted, Darth Marthael collapsed to the ground, calling out for a Coke in jest. Darth Plagueis' voice emerged, chiding him for his undignified behavior as a Sith Lord. Darth Marthael, too weary to notice his master's approach, lay sprawled on the ground, a testament to the grueling trial he had endured. Under the shadow of the spaceship, he had indeed reached, or perhaps even surpassed, his limit. Every cell in his body was protesting, and the moment he allowed himself to relax, he found he couldn't even move his fingers. His vulnerable state, however, served to dispel the last of Darth Plagueis' doubts. It seemed impossible for someone with hidden motives to expose their weakest side so openly, as doing so meant entrusting their life entirely to another. For Darth Marthael, the risk was inconsequential. This was a gamble that had begun 3 years prior, and having taken the step, there was no turning back. Darth Plagueis had had ample opportunity to end his life. Thus, taking precautions now seemed futile. It was better to be open and treat Plagueis as a benevolent master, revealing his true self. Gaining Darth Plagueis's trust was his sole objective, and he could not afford to slip up at this crucial juncture. Darth Plagueis stood before Marthael, his sigh barely audible. "Take up your lightsaber. You are already a Sith Lord. Scattering your weapons carelessly, losing them. What sort of behavior is that? Foolish." In that moment, Marthael saw, in Plagueis, the echoes of legendary figures like Chen Jinan, Hong Chi-Gong, and Subhuti. For Plagueis, the realization that another apprentice was plotting against him was not new. Yet, he found Marthael's demeanor somehow pleasing. Struggling to his feet, Marthael knelt with a stagger. "For the disciples' disrespect, I am grateful for the master's kindness." Though the standard language of the galaxy didn't quite follow this syntax, his manner of expression was both fitting and stylish, a perfect blend of humility and flattery. "This trial," Darth Plagueis began, his tone light, "was chaotic and sloppy. However, considering that your training period has been significantly shorter than that of Darth Sidious and Darth Maul, I see potential in you. Therefore, I deem you barely qualified." Marthael quickly bowed his head in thanks. Then, Darth Plagueis, with a calm demeanor, presented a dynamic combination lock. "As a reward for completing the trial, you will officially become a Sith Lord and be recorded in the Book of Sith. This Sith Infiltrator is now yours." "Sith Infiltrator? For me?" Darth Marthael looked up in astonishment. Star Wars: The Fourth Scourge, Vol. 2, Chapter 331, Sith Infiltrator, Star Wars: The Fourth Scourge. Darth Plagueis cast a glance at Marthael, his voice carrying a light but unmistakable authority. "Yes, this spaceship will significantly enhance your chances of survival. Remember, the days when we stand against the Jedi Knights are not far off." Darth Marthael could hardly contain his excitement. His voice trembled with emotion as he expressed his gratitude. "This is truly incredible. Thank you, my lord." The Sith Infiltrator, named Scimitar, was renowned throughout the Star Wars universe. For at least the next 15 years, it would be recognized as the most formidable small ship in the galaxy. Originally, the ship was awarded to Darth Maul as a token of appreciation for his successful missions, including the destruction of the Black Sun and the assassination of Alexis Garen. Darth Maul himself had been overwhelmed by the honor, feeling unworthy of such a magnificent vessel. Its value was beyond question. Now, Darth Plagueis had bestowed this remarkable spacecraft upon Marthael. The Sith Infiltrator was not merely a custom-made spaceship. It was a masterpiece of technology and design, costing a staggering 55 million credits. This sum could easily purchase a battlecruiser. The use of experimental technology meant its actual value far exceeded its cost. On the black market, a price tag of 500 million credits would not be unreasonable, and companies specializing in spacecraft manufacturing might be willing to pay up to 2 billion credits to acquire it. Such experimental technologies were highly coveted secrets, accessible only to those with the right connections. Return and recuperate. Prepare yourself, both physically and mentally, and cherish the gains from this experience. Embrace your fear, your anger, and then become stronger. Darth Plagueis instructed, "Our era is on the horizon. With both hands, I will offer the entire galaxy to you, my lord," Darth Marthael vowed, struggling to rise and kneeling on one knee in a gesture of fealty. In his mind, he added a silent promise to honor Plagueis even beyond the grave. Back in the Ondor galaxy, Tang Xiao piloted the Sith Infiltrator to a secret hangar, entrusting it to Professor Qi Jinjun for analysis. He instructed the professor to extract detailed technical data without disassembling the ship, as he would need this information for future missions. Upon returning to Dawn Planet, Tang Xiao sought a simple vegetarian meal to replenish himself. The grueling month-long trial on planet Hypoli had deepened his understanding of the Force. He found that consuming light, vegetarian meals facilitated his meditation on Dawn Planet, allowing him to better attune himself to the universe. 3 days later, after receiving a message from Professor Qianjun, Tang Xiao traveled to the large military technology space station orbiting Dawn Planet. Professor Qi, along with his research team, greeted him enthusiastically. "This spaceship is a masterpiece. Its technology surpasses our current capabilities, especially its stealth technology, which is more advanced than that of our ghost fighters. Professor Chai exclaimed, I understand your excitement, Mr. Chi, but we must respect the integrity of the spaceship. It represents more than just a vessel, it's a symbol, Tang Xiao replied, smiling. What a shame, Professor Chi lamented, shaking his head. He then gestured to his team. We've managed to copy and save some data from the spacecraft, which will significantly aid our research and development efforts. Zhang Mingyuan, please report these findings to the governor. Zhang Mingyuan, a seemingly unremarkable middle-aged man with color-changing glasses, nodded in acknowledgement. Despite his inconspicuous appearance, he was a key figure in the project, ready to share the invaluable data with the higher authorities. Zhang Mingyuan respectfully addressed Tang Xiao before activating the holographic display on his wrist-mounted universal tool. A detailed schematic of a spaceship materialized in the air. This vessel is registered in our database as the Scimitar. It's classified as a messenger spaceship, measuring 26.5 meters in length. By our standards, it qualifies as a heavy fighter. It's equipped with a Sina SSDS-11A hyperspace engine, boasting a hyperspace drive rating of 1.5. He continued, for sublight propulsion, it utilizes the Sina XC2 high-temperature plasma drive engine, and it's powered by 4 supermatter reactors. These advanced engines enable the spacecraft to achieve a maximum acceleration of 3,730 g in space and a top speed of 180 kilometers per hour within planetary atmospheres. Its agility is remarkable, though it's hampered by the need for significant acceleration time. This is primarily due to the XC2 engine's high energy demands and the reactor's slow activation time. Tang Xiao absorbed the information, noting the specifications. The armament includes 6 ionization laser cannons. Our tests indicate that when fully operational, these cannons can penetrate the shields of Revenge-class light destroyers, which are equipped with medium-sized energy shields. However, maintaining such firepower compromises the ship's mobility. Zhang Mingyuan added, Indeed, if not for this limitation, the spaceship would be nearly invincible. That's likely the rationale behind the inclusion of a cloaking device. While active, the cloaking device significantly reduces speed and firepower, but it offers strategic advantages that can offset the ship's weaknesses. Adjusting his glasses, Zhang Mingyuan concluded, overall, in the right hands, this spacecraft can unleash its full potential. In this galaxy, it's hard to imagine any adversary capable of downing such a ship. Tang Xiao, visibly excited by the prospect, clapped Zhang Mingyuan on the shoulder. Excellent work. Now, I'll take the helm myself, record my flight data. Soon after, the Scimitar, now under Tang Xiao's command, darted through space with the agility of lightning. It alternated between engaging its cloaking device, unleashing powerful barrages on targets, and navigating at breakneck speeds through the asteroid fields near the planet Dole. Once it reached its full acceleration of 3730 g, it moved so swiftly that not even tracking devices could lock onto it. As Tang Xiao piloted the formidable spaceship, a satisfied smile played on his lips. A sense of complete control and the thrill of conquest filled him, embodying the confidence of a master at the helm of an unparalleled vessel in the vastness of space. Vol 2, Chapter 332, The Star of Dawn. In the desolate industrial area of Coruscant, Darth Maul, his face obscured by a black cloak, dismounted from his hoverbike and approached a mechanical platform. With a respectful kneel, he reported to Darth Sidious, who stood before him, his back turned. The pirates planning to hijack the Trade Federation merchant fleet on crooks have been dealt with, my lord. Regrettably, by the time I arrived, those pirates had already slaughtered everyone. Darth Sidious turned to him with a sinister smile and posed an unexpected question. If you were to confront a Jedi now, what do you think the outcome would be? Darth Maul's expression darkened, and with a menacing grin, he replied, I would relish the encounter, quenching my thirst for vengeance with the blood and bodies of Jedi Knights. Is that why you annihilated the entire Trade Alliance merchant fleet? Sidious inquired coldly. I am prepared to face any punishment, my lord, Maul responded. Darth Maul, I won't punish you for the act of killing, Darth Sidious declared, but for your failure to secure approval from our lord, Darth Plagueis, even after you obliterated the Black Sun and presented Alexis Garen's head. Sidious's voice intensified, his expression turning grotesque. It was unclear whether his disdain was directed at his apprentice or at something else, as his tone grew increasingly grim and twisted. "This is a disgrace, the utmost disgrace. I will do everything in my power to erase this disgrace." Darth Maul vowed fiercely. "Yes, you will strive to cleanse this dishonor." Sidious's tone softened, "but now is not the time. Remember, only a Jedi can fulfill your urge to kill. For now, you must contain this desire. Then, when the moment is right, unleash it." Darth Maul's breathing grew heavy, his eyes bloodshot, a primal roar almost escaping his lips. "You may leave." Darth Sidious dismissed him casually, seemingly indifferent to Maul's agitated state. As Darth Maul departed, seething with rage, Darth Sidious remained still, gazing into the distant cosmos, a sense of foreboding clouding his thoughts. Recent developments suggested that his master, Darth Plagueis, was indeed amassing his own forces, possibly forming the Fourth Group or something else entirely. This was not in line with their original plan, which entailed Sidious personally overseeing the army funded by the Damask Holding Group. With such power at his disposal, Plagueis had no need to seek additional strength. Sidious pondered, his gaze turning icy. What could have gone awry? In the Endor galaxy, on the planet Dawn, a magnificent stage hosted a spectacular singing and dancing celebration. The open-air venue, supplemented by numerous large screens suspended in the sky, ensured an uninterrupted live broadcast of the event. The area was teeming with spectators, drawn by the allure of the grand performance. The event was broadcast live by several major television networks on Dawn Planet, attracting extensive coverage from entertainment media across the Galactic Republic. Admission was free, making this event a testament to the Fourth Civilization's commitment to enriching the cultural life of its citizens. Utilizing cutting-edge holographic projection technology, the stage transformed into a myriad of dreamlike vistas. A lineup of singers, musicians, celebrities, and comedians, some emerging from hibernation, showcased their talents, captivating the audience with performances that ranged from the elite to the masterful. Their melodious voices and stunning visuals provided a much-needed respite and joy to the attendees. Tang Xiao, seated in a luxurious box, savored the performance, allowing himself a moment of relaxation. The presence of the planet's governor underscored the significance of the occasion. The enthusiasm of the Dawn Planet's inhabitants reached new heights as the broadcast frequently zoomed in on Tang Xiao, eliciting roars of applause and cheers. Tang Xiao, acknowledging the adoration, stood up multiple times, gesturing to the crowd to focus on the performance rather than just on him. His humble and approachable demeanor won him even more admiration and applause. As a piano piece concluded amidst thunderous applause, the host announced with great excitement, "Finally, the moment you've all been eagerly awaiting has arrived. I know the wait has been long, but it will be well worth it. Let's welcome the brightest star of Dawn Planet, Arya Sha-Bi-Er." The announcement was met with an outpouring of applause and cheers that even surpassed the previous reactions for Tang Xiao. Then, the stage went dark, and all holographic projections vanished, plunging the venue into a sudden, expectant silence. In this quiet, a pure white bird gracefully flew onto the stage, its soft chirping filling the air as projections of blue skies and fluffy clouds appeared in the background. The singing that followed was like a stream of water, enchanting and magnetic. The contrail of a plane slowly fades before our eyes, always slipping away from the bright light, fragile and fleeting. As the song unfolded, more white birds appeared in the holographic projection, and then Arya Isabel, dressed in a gown adorned with white feathers, seemed to descend from the heavens. Bells wrapped around her ankles chimed with every step she took, causing the clouds around her to ripple with vibrant colors. In a distant paradise I've yet to see, I bury my wishes deep within my heart, always searching. Children walking on the railway in summer, their bare toes caressed by the breeze, are suddenly reminded of distant childhood dreams, of the desire to spread their wings and soar. With Arya's voice, the audience felt as if they had sprouted wings, transported back to a time of youth filled with dreams and aspirations. The contrail left by the plane we've always chased. It remains unchanged since we climbed the hillside. Steadfast and unwavering, we will surely safeguard the precious memories cherished by the sea. Even Tang Xiao found himself closing his eyes, lost in the beauty of the song. Arya Isabel's gaze remained fixed on the box where Tang Xiao sat, her eyes filled with endless tenderness, making her performance even more captivating. However, the spell was broken when an aide approached Tang Xiao, whispering something that caused his expression to darken. He abruptly left his seat, leaving the performance behind. Arya's spirit seemed to falter at his departure, her vibrant energy dimming. "It's so beautiful. Such a voice, such a melody. Hearing such a heavenly sound, I feel my life is complete." The audience's praise for the rising star was overwhelming, filling the venue with thunderous applause. Yet Arya Isabel could only gaze at the now empty box, a solitary tear glistening at the corner of her eye. Vol 2, Chapter 333, The Arrow is Drawn. In the vast expanse of space, Tang Xiao exited the private box and took a shuttle directly to the Mothership of the Glory, where a crucial meeting awaited him. Upon his arrival in the conference room, he was greeted by the sight of Baron Helmut Zemo, Ni Yongxiao, and Qi Jian, all of whom were already seated. The meeting also included remote participants via holographic projection: Francis Underwood, Claire Underwood, and Gross Shelbia. As Tang Xiao entered, the room filled with a sense of urgency, prompting everyone to stand and salute. Francis Underwood broke the silence. Just 2 standard hours ago, the negotiations between the Galactic Republic and the Trade Federation came to a complete halt. The district tax bill has been met with staunch opposition, and all attempts at mediation have been flatly rejected. The delegations from Newt Gunley and the trade union have already departed Coruscant. Tang Xiao nodded in understanding, then turned his attention to Baron Zemo. "What's the current situation on planet Naboo?" he inquired. Baron Zemo responded, "Around the same time, Newt Gunray's deputy, Rune Hako, also withdrew from negotiations with planet Naboo, refusing to reconsider the trade agreement. The financial state of Naboo cannot sustain such an unequal trade agreement any longer. The new queen is left with no other choice." Tang Xiao's expression darkened. Francis interjected, "Actually, she doesn't even have that last resort. Despite formally proposing a motion to the Galactic Republic Parliament seeking mediation, it's unlikely the Republic will intervene." Ni Yongxiao commented coldly, "For a nation to find itself in such a predicament is a consequence of its own actions. Yet, they aren't intimidated by the Trade Federation, are they?" "What led Phoenix Valorum to dismiss this proposal?" Francis explained. "Fear is no longer the issue here. If we proceed, war is inevitable, and the Republic cannot be the one to instigate it. Moreover, even if Phoenix Valorum were inclined towards war, against whom would he fight? A corporation? Would the judicial fleet even permit it?" Tang Xiao tapped his index finger lightly on the table, lost in thought for a moment before speaking. "Whether it's the prophecy I've seen or the unfolding events, war on Naboo is unavoidable. Our concern now is to what extent we should involve ourselves in the dispute over the planet. Our focus should also be on Hago Damask II's stance and the timing of his demise," Baron Helmut Zemo added, his gaze fixed on Tang Xiao. Hago's gift of the Sith infiltrator was a clear indication of his position, and Palpatine will undoubtedly eliminate him. However, I plan to personally visit Coruscant soon to ensure an additional layer of security. I've already tasked the village special with investigating a matter, and I'll be heading there shortly," Tang Xiao revealed. Gross Shelby inquired with a light smile, "What has our Governor-General so preoccupied?" "To meet someone. My master," Tang Xiao replied with a slight smile. Baron Helmut Zemo then firmly advised, "Then my suggestion is to not interfere." "Not interfere? Our involvement could potentially alter the outcome of the Naboo conflict, leading to the Trade Federation's occupation of the planet," Tang Xiao countered. Baron Zemo explained, "While the war may not seem intense on the surface, it's entangled with numerous interests and even tied to the prophecy of the Force." Tang Xiao raised an eyebrow. "You're delving into the Force? That's a realm of mysticism, likely a futile endeavor." "Yet, I believe everything has a traceable origin. Take the Battle of Naboo, for instance," Baron Zemo argued. "If we enter the war, capture Naboo and prevent the subsequent counterattack, it could precipitate an early galactic civil war. Moreover, it might prevent Padme Amidala and Anakin Skywalker from meeting and falling in love." Ni Yongxiao massaged his forehead. "This is a trivial matter. What does the love story of two individuals have to do with us? No, if the prophecy you've seen, Governor, Baron Zemo posited. Indeed, Padme is the catalyst for Anakin's descent into the dark side, but her presence also paradoxically weakens him. Tang Xiao, however, expressed skepticism. I'm not entirely convinced by that argument. While profound love can indeed empower an individual, in Anakin's case, it's predominantly fear that governs his heart, the fear of loss. This fear prevents him from becoming stronger. Therefore, introducing more variables into his situation, especially now that we've lost control over Anakin, seems unwise. Tang Xiao reflected on recent events. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Jabba the Hutt and Ghidorah the Hutt on Tatooine were on the brink of war, leaving Mos Espa Port in ruins. At that time, the capabilities of the Fourth Civilization were insufficient to locate anyone in the vast expanses of Tatooine. Consequently, the fate of Anakin Skywalker, dubbed the Chosen One, remained a mystery, a constant source of concern for Tang Xiao. If there truly was a connection between the Force and destiny, then the unfolding and resolution of the conflict on Naboo seemed inevitable. Let me confirm once more. If we support the Trade Federation's occupation of Naboo without considering Anakin Skywalker, what benefits would accrue to us? Tang Xiao inquired solemnly. It wouldn't affect the Republic's fate, but would greatly benefit Palpatine. However, such an outcome would not be favorable for us, Baron Zemo responded with certainty. Then it's settled. Once the Trade Federation commits to their course, we'll dispatch military observers, but refrain from direct involvement in the conflict, Tang Xiao declared, standing to conclude the meeting. This meeting is adjourned. Hold on, Governor, Gross Shelby interjected suddenly. Would you be interested in attending an auction? Tang Xiao offered a light smile. I don't think this is the appropriate time for social engagements, Representative Shelby. Yet Gross Shelby produced a gilded invitation, placing it before the projection for Tang Xiao to see clearly. This invitation comes from Mrs. Saif Sarizek. The item up for auction is a Jedi apprentice. Tang Xiao's interest was piqued as he examined the invitation in the projection, a thoughtful expression crossing his face, accompanied by a slight, intrigued smile. Vol 2, Chapter 334, A Covert Invitation. Mrs. Zevsrexis. Haha, so you're referring to that. I too received an invitation, Niongxiao said, casually crossing his legs and fidgeting with a lighter in his hand. Mrs. Shi and Dryden Voss were also invited. It seems that the most influential figures in the Milky Way's underworld, probably more than 200 people, have been summoned. Then why extend an invitation to me? I'm hardly a criminal. Gross Shelby pondered, twirling the invitation between her fingers. That's simply because you're not well versed in the recent dynamics of the underground world, Niongxiao explained, gesturing towards Tang Xiao with a cigarette poised between his fingers. After receiving a nod of approval, he lit the cigarette, inhaling deeply. However, he quickly extinguished more than half of it, looked up, and continued. The Black Sun has fallen, and Alexis Garin was executed. The footage of him and the other Vigo leaders being incinerated on a mysterious magical circle has spread across the Galaxy Information Network. It signaled to many in the underworld that it's time for a reshuffling. Saif Sarizek, formerly of the Black Sun, foresaw its downfall at the hands of several corporate behemoths and promptly severed ties. She later aligned herself with the Trade Federation, covertly overseeing the production and smuggling of destroyer battle droids. However, with the Black Sun's demise, she's keen on gauging the stance of certain individuals, and you, Gross, are one of those key figures. Me? Gross furrowed her brows, trying to grasp the underlying motive. Considering we previously targeted the Black Sun, and she was among them, does she intend to verify if I still oppose her? Moreover, she's extended invitations to members of trade and business unions. Her power may seem negligible to us, but for many in the underworld, it poses a significant threat. The Hutts, for instance, respect her to some degree, Niongxiao remarked. So, do you still believe this is merely a social call from the governor? Meanwhile, Gross was browsing information on her wrist-mounted universal tool. After a brief moment, she dismissed the screen and scoffed. The Cyrus group? They should be grateful for my attendance. And why not consider it a date? Right, Governor? She cast a playful glance at Tang Xiao. It appears so, By auctioning a Jedi apprentice, she's also testing the waters with these underworld factions and corporations. Clearly, if she harbored any loyalty towards the Republic, she wouldn't allow the auction to proceed, Tang Xiao concurred. Make the necessary arrangements. I'll attend this auction as your bodyguard, he declared. Gross Shelby was taken aback. A bodyguard? I couldn't possibly impose such a role on you. This is an order. No further discussion is needed. If my suspicions are correct, this auction will unveil some intriguing developments, Tang Xiao stated firmly, then turned to Niyong Xiao. You're on your own for this mission. Enjoy yourself as you see fit and leave promptly after the auction. Sef Sarasex is a minor player. Just go and enjoy the spectacle. Niyong Xiao nodded in agreement. The Draskal system, within the secret confines of the Ceres X Group space station, orbited a satellite in the Draskar galaxy. This luxurious comprehensive space station, akin to a space villa, attracted many affluent individuals. Escorted by 2 Vengeance-class light destroyers, Gross Shelby arrived via shuttle, representing the Fourth Group. As hundreds of spaceships congregated around the station, their shuttle, upon transmitting the identification code, was swiftly escorted by several welcoming crafts to a designated platform. Dressed in a striking purple-black gown adorned with a large green gem, Gross Shelby made her entrance. Adorned with black bird feathers on her shoulders and her golden, wavy curls cascading down her chest, she exuded both beauty and maturity. Her face was a harmonious blend of dignity, elegance, and charm. Flicking through her communicate, she remarked, the trade union is currently preoccupied, and Parcel Argent hasn't extended her any courtesies from the Enterprise Union's side. So tonight, we are the center of attention. Her excitement was palpable as she clung to Tang Xiao's arm, a rare display of vulnerability reserved for private moments with him. Remember to keep a low profile and just observe how events unfold, and be mindful of your identity, Tang Xiao advised with a gentle smile. Oh, Lord Bodyguard, if we're being mindful of our identities, perhaps your hands should behave accordingly, Gross teased, nudging Tang Xiao's wandering hands away with a delicate pinch. Tang Xiao coughed awkwardly, his demeanor instantly becoming more serious as he clasped his hands behind his back, fully embodying his role as a bodyguard. As the cabin door swung open, they were greeted by Sev Sirasex and her entourage, who had come out to welcome them personally. Sev Sirasex, a middle-aged woman in her 40s, with short blonde hair, blood-red lips, and pronounced cheeks, might not have been conventionally beautiful, but she carried an air of authority befitting her leadership status. Miss Shelby, it's truly an honor to have you grace our party with your presence. You are absolutely stunning. I remember seeing you at the Galactic Council in Coruscant from afar and being captivated by your beauty. Now, seeing you again, it feels like the entire party is in your honor. Sev Sirasex gushed, her flattery thick. Tang Xiao internally acknowledged her adeptness at flattery. Sev Sirasex's confidence was not unfounded. Her group was making significant strides in the galaxy, from launching the first superspec battleship, the Apocalypse-class light cruiser, to aiding Planet Semirth in establishing their own battleship production line and creating the Higla Aerospace Group. Their achievements were noteworthy. Their collaboration with the Trade Alliance on developing the kilometer-long Higla-class battlecruiser had catapulted them into the top 5 in the galaxy's battleship manufacturing sector. The willingness of such a high-profile leader to attend his party was a testament to its significance. Oh, that occasion at the Galactic Council? I was there to argue, Gross Shelby responded nonchalantly, effectively deflecting Sev Sirasex's flattery. Caught off guard, Sev Sirasex momentarily faltered before awkwardly smiling and saying, "This time, we've managed to capture a Jedi apprentice. Her spaceship was downed by pirates, and her master sacrificed his life to save hers, only to perish in the ruins. Our bounty hunters then captured her. If you're interested, I could arrange for you to meet this Jedi apprentice." Gross waved her hand dismissively. "No need. Pretend I'm not here. I'm just here to unwind." With that, she moved past Sev Sirasex, who hurriedly followed, leading her into a luxurious private box. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Sev Sirasex. Vol 2, Chapter 335, Auction Event, Star Wars The Fourth Scourge. In the opulent viewing box, Tang Xiao gazed down at the expansive hall below, which resembled more of a square. The area was adorned with an array of exotic flowers and plants, and a fountain that sprayed water infused with petals, filling the air with a delightful fragrance. Well-dressed waiters, all of whom were strikingly handsome or beautiful, moved diligently among the guests, offering impeccable service and, if desired, something a bit more personal. Scattered throughout the hall, more than a dozen robots lay dormant, curled up into compact spheres. These were destroyer robots, designed to spring into action when needed. They would rapidly roll towards their target, unfurl their bodies, activate their shields, and unleash a barrage of fire from their dual rapid-fire blasters, decimating the enemy. The extravagance of the space station, which housed this event, was astonishing. The cost of maintaining such a facility was astronomical. "It's a waste," Gross Shelby remarked coldly, her voice echoing in the luxurious space. "All this luxury doesn't make you more valuable in the eyes of these people. The money would be better spent on constructing battlecruisers." "Not everyone has the means to build a battlecruiser. Often, money alone isn't enough," Tang Xiao replied, standing loyally behind Gross. "That's precisely why we're up here, not mingling with the guests below," Gross said, picking up a glass of wine. After taking a sip, she approached Tang Xiao with a seductive twist of her waist, her breath tinged with the scent of wine. "At this moment, I find myself desiring a reward, Lord Bodyguard. Given the surveillance here, I must remind you, on behalf of the young lady," Tang Xiao responded with a slight smile. "Moreover, since you understand the concept of a reward, you should also recognize the conditions under which it is granted, correct?" As he spoke, he glanced at a flower pot. A faint squeak was heard, followed by a spark of electricity flashing past the pot. Gross pouted, then brought the wine glass to Tang Xiao's lips, coaxing him to sip from the same spot she had, before returning to the sofa. She activated her wrist-mounted all-purpose tool, projecting a holographic image of a robot curled into a ball. The Sci-Fi group specializes in the production of illegal robots. After securing a contract with the Trade Federation's sector manager, they began manufacturing destroyer robots, Gross explained, gesturing to the holographic projection. The robot unfurled, resembling a beetle, with a small deflector shield and dual rapid-fire blasters on either side. The destroyer robot, a creation of the insectoid collocoid race, boasts formidable firepower and defense capabilities. Its only flaw is its slow movement when deployed. Its rapid deployment relies on rolling, during which it cannot activate its deflector shield, making it vulnerable to a well-placed shot. Gross continued. A famine struck the collocoids, a race heavily reliant on meat. The Trade Federation seized this opportunity, trading low-quality meat for the robot's samples and blueprints, which were then mass-produced. The Sci-Fi group is among the manufacturers. After concluding her explanation, Gross dismissed the projection with a flourish and leaned towards Tang Xiao. "If I manage to take over the Sci-Fi group, we'll gain a significant robot production line. How will you reward me then, bodyguard?" "First, we must eliminate Sif, ensuring his death appears natural to avoid suspicion. And, fortunately, I know someone who will inadvertently take the blame. If I'm not mistaken, they've already begun to make their move," Tang Xiao said, turning his gaze towards the bustling hall below. Niyong Xiao had already made his entrance at the event, accompanied by several T-850 bodyguards. In one hand, he held a crystal cup filled with fine wine, and in the other, a lit cigarette. He was deeply engaged in conversation with Dryden Voss, the leader of the Scarlet Dawn. Tang Xiao, observing from a distance, subtly shifted his attention towards Niyong Xiao, who seemed to sense it. With a discreet glance towards Tang Xiao's location, Niyong Xiao made a covert signal. Shortly after, Tang Xiao received a message, which he read before speaking to Gross. Dryden Voss just shared some intriguing news. There's been a disturbance in the capital of Narsada, specifically in Hutt City, where a riot resulted in the deaths of more than a dozen individuals. Among them were a Zabrak and members of the Cade Bane gang. Cade Bane? The galaxy's second most formidable bounty hunter, second only to Jango Fett. His services don't come cheap, so the Zabrak must be Darth Maul. What's his purpose here? Gross inquired, her brow furrowed in confusion. He's after a Jedi Knight. However, he's keeping a low profile for now. There's no better prey than a missing Jedi apprentice, captured and brought to this remote galaxy. Tang Xiao explained calmly. You're planning to confront him? Gross asked, a hint of concern in her voice. He'll have no choice but to acknowledge me, Tang Xiao replied with a smirk. After taking a sip of his wine, he playfully wrapped an arm around Gross's slim waist, his lips meeting hers in a brief, intoxicating kiss. With a light pat on her backside, he suggested, let's go mingle with the guests. By this time, the venue was bustling with arrivals. Sev Sirisex took to the central stage, her voice softly amplified by a sophisticated sound system, reaching every corner of the room. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our gathering. It's a pleasure to see so many familiar faces, as well as new ones. I'm grateful for your presence and would like to extend a special thanks to Miss Gross Shelby, representing the fourth group. As the stage lights illuminated the box where Gross was supposed to be, it was revealed to be empty. Sev Sirisex, slightly embarrassed, quickly recovered. It seems Miss Shelby prefers not to be in the spotlight, which is perfectly fine. Let's move on to the main topic. As mentioned in the invitation, we have in our possession a Jedi apprentice. Her ship was downed by pirates, and she was the sole survivor. Her name is Eldra Cadis, a beautiful and young Jedi apprentice. While she may not possess the same value as a seasoned Jedi Master, I assure you, her youth and beauty present a variety of opportunities for those interested. Sev Sirisex's words trailed off into an ambiguous smile, leaving the audience to ponder the implications. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Destroyer Robot, Droideka, Destroyer Droid. Vol 2, Chapter 336, Jedi Apprentice, Star Wars, The Fourth Scourge. Laughter and jeers filled the air as the crowd's excitement reached a fever pitch. Jedi! Fantastic! I've longed to see what a Jedi tastes like. Ha! One spectator shouted, his voice laced with malice. Cut off her hands and feet, then we can have our fun. Another added, drawing a chorus of agreement. I've heard the fourth group has arrived. This Series X group sure knows how to draw a crowd. A third voice chimed in, eager anticipation palpable in the air. Bring out the Jedi. Let's have a look, the audience demanded in unison. Sif Sirisex, basking in the adulation of her guests, felt her decision validated more with each passing moment. Auctioning a Jedi Knight was not just an event, it was a spectacle. The Jedi Knights, shrouded in mystery, were often heard of but seldom seen. Their exploits against criminal organizations were legendary, yet their order remained an enigma, a distant and mystical presence in the minds of many. To own a Jedi was akin to capturing a saint from the pages of a fantasy novel, an unimaginable trophy. And the Jedi apprentice in Sif Sirisex's possession was not just any trophy. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Your enthusiasm is appreciated, but please remember, a Jedi remains a formidable being. We must ensure our safety above all, Sif Sirisex cautioned, her voice cutting through the clamor. With a grand gesture, she activated a holographic projection in the center of the venue, revealing a young Twi'lek girl. Her features were delicate, her pale blue skin glowing with health. The Leku tentacles characteristic of her race draped elegantly in front of her chest, and her lake blue eyes shimmered with an unspoken sadness. As the projection filled the room, the crowd was captivated. The holograms, now appearing amidst the audience, showcased the girl in various poses, each capturing her youthful vitality and the inherent grace of her species. The Twi'leks were renowned for their beauty, and this young Jedi apprentice was no exception. Her skin was soft, her form lithe yet resilient, a testament to her race's famed allure. Tang Xiao, mingling unnoticed among the spectators, admired the exhibit with a discerning eye. Though she lacked the mature charm of Gross or the innocent beauty of Arya, her youthful radiance and vitality were undeniable. The prospect of unlocking the 48 hands of Odo with her seemed effortlessly achievable. The audience, now thoroughly enchanted, eagerly anticipated the bidding. Whispers of financial calculations filled the air as each person considered their chances of securing this exquisite prize. Are you tempted? Bodyguard, how about I purchase her to warm your bed every night? Gross whispered seductively to Tang Xiao, a mischievous glint in her eye. I don't make a habit of buying treasures, Tang Xiao replied, his attention elsewhere. Using the Force, he scanned the crowd, quickly identifying several notable figures. Among them was Cade Bane, a Duro bounty hunter with a distinctive Western cowboy flair, recognized by his large-brimmed hat, windbreaker, and dual blaster pistols. Beside him stood a human woman with a Mohican ponytail and a sleek metal antenna, his partner, the force-sensitive Orla Sin. With a slight smile, Tang Xiao excused himself from Gross. "Enjoy yourself. I'll take a moment to explore backstage." As he departed, the auction commenced. Safe Cyrex, with a flourish, opened the bidding at 500,000 credit points, the room buzzing with anticipation. Tang Xiao paid little attention to the auction, his focus diverted by a subtle surge of the force he detected in the background. Following this sensation, he discovered Jedi apprentice Idracatus confined within a room, its entrance sealed by an energy shield. Concealing his presence, Tang Xiao observed from a hidden vantage point. At that moment, Idracatus, puzzled, confronted a figure outside her cell. "Who are you? You're not one of the guards. What are you doing here?" she inquired, her brow furrowed in confusion. Darth Maul, with eyes ablaze in red fury, could barely contain his excitement upon facing his sworn enemy. Clenching his teeth, he hissed, "I am your worst nightmare come to life, Jedi Knight." "I'm actually not a Jedi Knight, just an apprentice," Adra corrected, her tone resigned as if she had come to terms with her predicament and was open to conversation. In a swift motion, Darth Maul ignited his blood-red lightsaber, striking at the energy shield with a fierce blow. The clash emitted a high-pitched screech, yet the shield remained intact. Adra, taken aback, questioned, "Who are you? That lightsaber, are you a Jedi Knight?" "It seems your master has left much unsaid, poor apprentice," Darth Maul sneered, his grin widening. However, his triumph was short-lived as he sensed an approaching presence, prompting him to conceal his weapon and turn around. "I believe you owe us an explanation," Sif Cyresex announced, flanked by 4 destroyer robots. The cramped space amplified the threat posed by the robots' formidable firepower and their impenetrable deflector shields. Realizing the futility of resistance, Darth Maul immediately abandoned any thought of confrontation. "Apologies, madam. My fascination with this item made me eager to see her face," he explained, his head bowed in deference. "Your actions disrespect our guests, especially with notable individuals from the Fourth Group in attendance today. I will not tolerate any disruptions to this event. Do you understand? Now, who might you be?" Safe Ceresix inquired, her tone icy. "I represent the Hadrix Consortium," Darth Maul replied, attempting to maintain his composure. "A consortium, you say? Since when did petty thugs begin labeling themselves so grandiosely? Regardless, you're merely here to fill the space. Return to the auction hall. The items here are beyond your reach. Have something to eat. Don't go home hungry," Safe scoffed dismissively. "I'm sorry, madam," Darth Maul muttered, casting a final glare at Idracatus before departing. Safe then turned her attention to where Tang Xiao was concealed. "You may come out. Despite your efforts to hide, my sensors cover every inch of this place. You cannot remain undetected." Revealing himself, Tang Xiao responded with a smile. "I see no need to hide, do I?" Sife's expression shifted. "You're the bodyguard accompanying Miss Gross. What exactly does the Fourth Group intend by involving themselves here?" Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, The Captured Jedi Apprentice, Idracatus. And a note, don't expect the typical American cartoon style here. The unique talent of American cartoonists often lies in their unconventional portrayal of female characters. Vol 2, Chapter 337, The Main Event. Star Wars, The Fourth Scourge. "What we intend to do is beyond your capacity to interfere," Tang Xiao said with a smile. "Should the Fourth Group express interest in this apprentice, I would willingly step aside." Safe Cyrex's demeanor shifted to one of respect. "However, I must understand Miss Gross's intentions. The individual in question has a more significant background than you might anticipate. It would be wise to tread carefully," Tang Xiao advised. "As I mentioned earlier, we have no interest in this apprentice, so your concerns are unfounded. Once the auction concludes, meet with Gross. She has plans for the Series X group." "I understand," Saifu responded, folding her hands in a respectful salute before watching Tang Xiao depart. After Tang Xiao's departure, Saifu's brow furrowed in contemplation, sensing that the auction might not be as straightforward as it seemed. Meanwhile, across the venue, guests mingled and indulged in the feast, their conversations animated by the topic of the Jedi apprentice Idracatus, displayed in a holographic projection. Discussions ranged from her physical attributes to speculative comments on her flexibility, creating a lively yet unsettling atmosphere. Amidst this, the bidding continued unabated until a Morgan named G. Kara secured Adra Caddis for 2.5 million credits. Under the envious stares of onlookers, G. Kara, with his entourage, clamped Adra in a metal shackle that severely restricted her movements and escorted her towards his spaceship. Witnessing G. Kara's lascivious grin, despair engulfed Adra. She envisioned a bleak future. Imprisoned by this Morgan businessman, her life shrouded in darkness. Anger, sorrow, and defiance surged within her, destabilizing her connection to the Force. In the crowd, she spotted Tang Xiao, the figure even Safe Sirixex had shown deference to, and clung to a sliver of hope that he might be her savior. Yet, as she was led away, he remained motionless, dashing her hopes. "Your little beauty will soon be performing for your applause in various poses," Gross Shelby remarked to Tang Xiao with a playful tone. "The game is merely beginning." Tang Xiao replied with a slight smile. "Did you notice that Cade Bane and his team vanished about half an hour ago? Have they been commissioned by Darth Maul to abduct the apprentice?" Gross inquired. "It's highly probable. Given Darth Maul's lack of 2.5 million credits, resorting to theft is his only option," Tang Xiao reasoned, nodding towards Sif Ceres on stage. "It appears Sif is also prepared." Indeed, Sif addressed the audience from the stage. "Please, remain calm. The entertainment isn't over yet. The second act is about to begin. Continue to enjoy the feast and anticipate another spectacle." Following his announcement, the waiters served an even grander array of food and drinks, and performers took to the stage, revitalizing the atmosphere that had momentarily dipped following the high-stakes purchase of the Jedi Apprentice. Tang Xiao activated a device on his wrist, bringing up a live feed from 2 Vengeance-class light destroyers in orbit. He quickly identified a departing spaceship belonging to the Mogan Consortium, a smirk playing on his lips. The Jedi Apprentice sold for only 2.5 million credits, a sum many here could easily afford. Yet, why did it end at that price? The Mogans failed to grasp the situation, and they are about to pay with their lives in a spectacular display for us. As predicted, shortly after takeoff, a precisely timed explosion crippled the spacecraft's engine, sending it spiraling uncontrollably towards the Draskor satellite. "If my assumptions are correct, Cade Bane and Darth Maul are aboard," Gross Shelby observed. "Are they about to meet their end in an unexpected turn of events?" "In the gutter?" Tang Xiao said with a cold tone. "So Cade Bane can only be second." At that moment, Sev Sirixex took the stage, announcing, "It appears our guests have encountered some trouble. Their spaceship was attacky, and unfortunately has crashed on the satellite of Draskor." Laughter erupted among many guests, their smiles betraying a sense of foreknowledge. It was an open secret that such a twist was inevitable. While the Morgans, in their complacency, bid exorbitantly, the representatives of truly powerful organizations sneered and withdrew their bids. These representatives understood that the Morgans, possessing neither significant power nor influence, were merely wealthy prey, dubbed Bonsa feed. Their high bids sealed their fate, marking them for the auction's next, more perilous phase. Sev Sirixex proclaimed, "However, I believe their ship's safety measures were quite effective, and the beautiful Jedi Apprentice should still be alive. The Draskor satellite will provide an excellent hunting ground. Prepare your bodyguards and bounty hunters, folks. For a registration fee of 350,000 credit points, you can join the hunt for the Jedi Apprentice." Excited shouts and laughter filled the room as numerous bodyguards and bounty hunters, representing various outlaw factions, stood up. After paying the registration fee, they armed themselves and set off towards Draskor's satellite. Tang Xiao, meanwhile, shed his suit to reveal a tight outfit that accentuated his muscular physique, ready for action. The entertainment is over. Now the real show begins. "I thought the main event was to secure another robot production line," Gross Shelby remarked, tracing a circle on Tang Xiao's chest with a delicate finger. Tang Xiao offered a smile but remained silent. He took the blue lightsaber given to him by Darth Plagueis, concealing it as he prepared to depart. Sev Sirixex approached, eyeing Tang Xiao's eager demeanor and impressive physique. "Miss Gross also seems interested in joining the fray. Your followers are exempt from the fee," he said with a smile. Gross responded with a light wave of her hand, and a T-850 bodyguard transferred 1 million credits to Safe's account. Safe's initial joy at the transaction quickly turned to apprehension. Let my, Lord Bodyguard enjoy himself down there. We have other matters to discuss, Gross stated. Your advice is always welcome, Miss Gross, Safe responded, bowing slightly. Our fourth group is looking to invest in your Sci-Fi group to expand your robot production line, Gross revealed. Safe, trying to mask his excitement with concern, replied, However, our group has several other directors who, No, we'll ensure you personally hold the majority of shares. After all, you are the one I wish to collaborate with, Gross interjected. This is an honor, Miss Gross. I assure you, you won't be disappointed. We're currently working on the OEM for the destroyer robot and can initiate other projects. Safe said, barely containing his enthusiasm. We have a significant robotics project in mind, and your cooperation is precisely what we need. Let's start with an initial investment of 20 million credits. Vol 2, Chapter 338, Melee. In the vast expanse of space, Darth Marthael's spacecraft hovered, pinpointing the crash site of the Morgan shuttle. Below, the scene was chaotic, with several bounty hunter ships already on the ground, their crews engaged in a fierce firefight. But what truly caught Darth Marthael's attention was the unmistakable clash of the Force, dark against light. It seemed the Jedi apprentice, Adra was still alive. Darth Maul had not only spared her, but had also returned her lightsaber for a direct confrontation. Darth Marthael mused that it would be prudent to first eliminate any obstacles. Peering down, he noticed a skirmish near one of the ships. A group was locked in combat with an unseen adversary, skillfully using the terrain to their advantage. Cade Bane? If he's involved, this just got more interesting than a mere Jedi, Darth Marthael thought, recognizing the potential threat. Choosing to land on the periphery, he let the autopilot navigate to a suitable landing spot away from the ongoing battle. Once on the ground, he didn't head towards where Cade Bane was presumed to be, but instead took a different approach, carefully observing the battlefield. Suddenly, an energy beam shot towards him, scorching the basalt ground and leaving a trail of smoke. It wasn't aimed at him, but the close call was a clear sign of the battlefield's unpredictability. Oh, sorry, I thought you were our target, a bounty hunter remarked nonchalantly, holding a blaster rifle, though his tone lacked any real apology. It's fine, the misunderstanding was mine, Darth Marthael replied with a disarming smile, only to close the distance between them in a blink. His blue lightsaber flashed, and the bounty hunter was bisected before he could react. That man's a killer, his companions cried out, firing their weapons, but Darth Marthael had already vanished from their sight. In an instant, several heads were severed, rolling to the ground in a grim display of his prowess. I'm sorry, but no one can be left alive here, Darth Marthael stated coldly, drawing his revolver and firing behind him without looking. A sniper hidden in the rocks was hit squarely in the forehead, collapsing silently. From his vantage point, Darth Marthael surveyed the chaos below. Hundreds of bounty hunters swarmed the area, their sights set on the survivors within the Morgan spaceship. Though he could only see the mercenaries and bounty hunters from his position, his force perception revealed two powerful presences ahead, one light, one dark. Intriguingly, the light side had a taint of darkness. It seems they've formed a temporary alliance, but no matter, this rabble poses no threat to them, Darth Marthael noted with a smirk. On the other side of the battlefield, Cade Bane's group had commandeered a spaceship, using it to bombard the other ships. The bounty hunters scrambled for their vessels, but most were destroyed before they could take off. Those few that managed to ascend were quickly shot down by Cade Bane's expert piloting. The once coordinated hunters were now scattered. Meanwhile, Darth Maul and Adela Caddis had taken refuge in a valley. The terrain hindered the bounty hunters and mercenaries, but for Siths and Jedi Knights attuned to the Force, it made no difference. Their heightened senses allowed them to navigate and confront their enemies with an advantage that the terrain could not diminish. Darth Marthael watched with a slight smile as he began to hunt the lone bounty hunters on the periphery. It didn't take long for him to eliminate all the bounty hunters who had landed on the satellite. With the special training he received from Darth Plagueis, Darth Marthael's ability to conceal his presence through the dark side of the Force was exceptionally high, allowing him to remain undetected. Meanwhile, Darth Maul was engaged in a fierce battle with Edra Caddis. The clash between Maul's red double-bladed lightsaber and Edra's blue lightsaber sent shock waves of energy rippling through the air. "I've heard from the Master. The ancient enemy of the Jedi Knights, the Sith. You are a Sith." Edra Caddis exclaimed in anger, hurling a barrage of gravel towards Darth Maul with a wave of her hand. "Have you finally remembered, poor apprentice? Yes, the Sith have returned, and you are the first prey of the Sith." Darth Maul retorted, his double-bladed lightsaber spinning rapidly, pulverizing the incoming gravel. Darth Maul's prowess in combat made him more of a killing machine than a mere practitioner of the Force. The battle between them appeared evenly matched. Darth Marthael observed the duel with keen interest, learning about lightsaber techniques and principles. Edra Caddis was stronger than he had anticipated. She employed the Surasu form, a defensive lightsaber technique that rendered her nearly impervious to attack. Despite Darth Maul's aggressive onslaught, she revealed no weaknesses. However, Darth Marthael noticed a crucial detail. Anger was brewing within her. He understood that even a hint of succumbing to the dark side could plant a seed that would eventually take root and grow. Edra's swordsmanship was exceptional, indicating her potential as a formidable Jedi, despite being only an apprentice. As the battle intensified, the dark side within Edra began to resonate with Darth Maul's dark energy. Her expression betrayed a hint of excitement. "I sense fear in your heart. Tell me, Darth Maul, what does a Sith fear?" Edra challenged. In a surprising turn, Darth Maul momentarily faltered, dropping his lightsaber. Seizing the opportunity, Edra caused a small landslide with the Force, burying Darth Maul under rubble. Darth Marthael, his face concealed by a piece of cloth and wielding the blue lightsaber given to him by Darth Plagueis, contemplated Edra's potential as a Sith. However, he recognized that despite her talent, she was not yet a match for Darth Maul. Just as Edra believed she had triumphed, the rubble exploded outward, propelled by a powerful force. Darth Maul emerged, his red lightsaber piercing through the debris and fatally wounding Edra Caddis. "It's over. You're the first Jedi I've killed, and the first of many more to come," Darth Maul declared, pushing her body aside and destroying her lightsaber hilt. But in that moment of victory, another blue lightsaber emerged from the mist, aiming straight for Darth Maul's head. Vol 2, Chapter 339, Act While It's Hot. In the midst of a heated battle, Darth Maul found himself caught off guard by a sudden attack from a blue lightsaber. The attack was so unexpected that he didn't even sense it through the Force, a feat that suggested his assailant was at least of Jedi Master caliber. Darth Maul, though not primarily skilled in the Force, managed to contort his body just in time, blocking the strike with his red double-bladed lightsaber. Only then did he catch a glimpse of his attacker, a figure shrouded in mystery, masked in a way that concealed their identity completely. It was evident that this person was utilizing the Force mask technique. The air hummed with the clash of lightsabers as Darth Marthael, the masked assailant, intensified his assault. Opting for stealth, he refrained from using his preferred 7th-style Jiuwei swordsmanship, instead employing the 4th-style Ataru. This aggressive form turned his offense into a relentless wave, pushing Darth Maul back repeatedly. "Curse you! Who are you? Since when did Jedi Knights resort to such underhanded tactics?" Darth Maul roared, his technique becoming erratic under pressure. Despite this, his superior physical prowess allowed him to gradually regain his footing. Darth Marthael, however, remained silent, focusing solely on his attack. His movements, powered by the Force, were expansive and swift, weaving a storm of strikes that left Darth Maul struggling to defend. Although Darth Marthael was not as proficient in the 4th style as he was in others, his formidable strength in the Force compensated for this. Darth Maul, already weakened from a recent skirmish with bounty hunters and a grueling duel with Edra Caddis, found himself at a slight disadvantage. The battle had driven them into a small valley, the site of a recent victory over numerous bounty hunters, their bodies still strewn across the ground. It was here, in this open space, that Darth Marthael's choice of the 4th-style swordsmanship proved strategic. However, as the duel continued, Darth Maul's attention was suddenly captured by a translucent figure lunging towards him. Recognizing it as a Nikto mercenary he had recently killed, he was taken aback, realizing this was no illusion as the Force issued a stark warning. In that moment of distraction, Darth Maul's defenses faltered, and Darth Malthael seized the opportunity, aiming a forceful blow towards his chest. Reacting swiftly, Darth Maul used the Force to hurl a dagger at Malthael's face, buying himself a moment to escape. Darth Malthael, unfazed, deflected the dagger with a casual flick of his hand and watched Darth Maul flee. He did not pursue, but instead turned his attention to Idra Cadis's lifeless body. Approaching Adra, Darth Malthael whispered, "I will give you a second chance. Your fate now lies in the hands of destiny, while it's hot." With that, he tore open Adra's shirt and inserted a finger into the lightsaber wound on Adra's chest. His other hand began to gather a potent force. As he worked, Darth Malthael's finger channeled the life force to mend the wound, while his other hand initiated a resurrection technique. Closing his eyes, he attuned himself to the universe, to the essence of life itself. Through the unity of the Force, he sought to bridge life and death, offering Adra a chance at rebirth. In the depths of the universe, where the fabric of reality intertwines with the ethereal, Darth Malthael stood with his eyes closed, yet through his mind's eye, he perceived a haunting vision. Adela Cadis, her essence encapsulated within her own force, hovered a few meters above the ground, a spectral figure representing her soul. According to Darth Preg's theory, this was the amalgamation of her vitality and consciousness. Malthael embarked on a delicate endeavor to reunite Adela's mind and body, aiming to rekindle her life force. Despite his efforts, the initial attempt was met with failure. Adela was briefly resurrected, only to succumb once more to her fatal injuries. Taking a deep breath, Malthael refused to concede defeat. Adela was a formidable, force-sensitive individual, her will to survive unparalleled. He could almost hear her soul's desperate cries, a lamentation against the clutches of death. Given that her demise was recent, Malthael believed there was still hope. He recalled how Darth Plagueis had subjected Darth Venomous to a cycle of death and revival, a torturous experiment that spanned over 2 decades. With renewed focus, Malthael applied the resurrection technique once more, this time ensuring that Adela's lethal wounds were healed beforehand. Invoking the essence of life itself, he watched as Adela Cadis's body trembled, exhaling a long, stale breath before her vital signs began to stabilize. Her eyes fluttered open, meeting Malthael's gaze. Startled by the sight of Malthael and her own exposed state, Adela attempted to move away, only to aggravate her wound and succumb to death yet again. Malthael, exasperated, muttered under his breath about the triviality of modesty in the face of life and death. He prepared for another resurrection, this time covering Adela with her blouse, which he had previously torn. The resurrection was successful, but the toll it took on both Malthael and Adela was significant. Exhausted and weakened from the ordeal, Adela slipped into unconsciousness. Relieved, Malthael contacted his ally. "Okay, I'm done here. Come pick me up. There's no need to return to the space station. We'll head back directly." "Oh, you've finished? It took longer than usual this time," Gross Shelby remarked with a teasing tone. "What are you implying?" Malthael frowned, not in the mood for jests. "Just wondering how it feels to play the hero this time," Gross Shelby teased, barely concealing her amusement. "It's not a joke. She died 3 times because of me," Malthael retorted, frustration evident in his voice. Gross Shelby laughed, then suggested it was time to leave, mentioning that preparations with the Cerezex group were underway, thanks to Rosanna Goods. Malthael, still frustrated, but relieved the ordeal was over, watched a spaceship ascend into outer space, a cold smile on his lips. Despite the challenges, the mission was accomplished, albeit with unexpected complications. Vol 2, Chapter 340, Harvest. As Tang Xiao prepared to depart, a faint cry for help caught his attention from a nearby corner. "Help me. Help," the voice weak and desperate. Turning towards the source, Tang Xiao saw a Chandrafan with broken legs, struggling to crawl on the ground. The Chandrafan, a species standing only about a meter tall and resembling a wingless bat, was known for its flexibility and exceptional technical skills. Next to the injured being was a protocol droid, its optical units brutally removed, standing indifferently as if awaiting the Chandrafan's demise. Tang Xiao recognized the injured figure as the mechanic of the Cade Bane team, commonly known as Turk. Judging by his condition, it seemed he had been forsaken by Cade Bane. Drawn by the sounds of conflict, Turk had mustered his remaining strength to seek assistance, clinging to a sliver of hope. "Save me. I'm dying. Save me," he pleaded weakly. Without a word, Tang Xiao approached and swiftly ended his suffering with a clean strike of his sword. "Oh, my temperature detector indicates this individual is deceased. Were you responsible for this action, sir?" the protocol droid inquired. "I am deeply grateful. They murdered my previous owner and then vandalized me. Thank you for avenging the loss of my optical sensors. I am designated FEB3 at your service, sir." "Who was your last master?" Tang Xiao asked, curiosity piqued. "The Hadrex gang of Narsada," the droid responded. "Very well, you may accompany me. I have an acquaintance in Nasada who specializes in security. Your database could prove invaluable," Tang Xiao decided. "It would be my honor, sir," FEB3 replied, its voice devoid of emotion, yet somehow conveying a sense of eagerness. The spacecraft carrying Gross Shelbia, Tang Xiao, Adra, and the newly acquired droid companion landed, swiftly gathering the group before ascending back into the cosmos. They rendezvoused with 2 Vengeance-class light destroyers and set a course away from Germany, leaving the Roscor galaxy behind. As they distanced themselves, an explosion erupted within the safe Cerizic space station, its fiery bloom visible against the backdrop of space. Tang Xiao watched with a satisfied smile. Safe must have met her end at the hands of an enraged Darth Maul. "What are our next steps?" he inquired. She departed too swiftly, complicating matters slightly. "However, we can suppress this information for the time being. Rosanna has successfully influenced a director within the Cyresex group. Disassociating from this debacle shouldn't pose a significant challenge," Gross Shelbia explained, her tone casual as she perched on the table before Tang Xiao, her legs provocatively crossed in front of him. Tang Xiao, unamused by her forwardness, swatted away the leg she had daringly extended towards him. "You've grown quite bold recently. Remember, such liberties are context-dependent," he chided before standing and making his way to the spacecraft's communication room, where he disabled all surveillance. In the holographic projection before him, the imposing figure of Darth Plagueis materialized. Darth Marthael knelt respectfully. "Your Highness, the Ceresex group hosted an auction in the Drazcor galaxy, which purportedly involved a Jedi apprentice. I attended and encountered Darth Maul. Unable to restrain myself, I engaged him in combat. That is of no consequence. You must understand, you hold less significance to me than Darth Sidious. Should he discover and decide to eliminate you, I shall not intervene," Darth Plagueis stated coldly. "I am committed to proving my worth and continuing my growth under your tutelage," Darth Marthael responded earnestly. "And what of Darth Maul?" Plagueis inquired, his interest apparent. "The circumstances of our confrontation were less than ideal for him, prompting his retreat. However, I relied solely on the lightsaber techniques and the fourth-style swordsmanship you've taught me. Should we face each other under fair conditions, I am confident in my ability to prevail with a probability exceeding 60%, Darth Marthael declared with calm assurance. "Have you glimpsed his fate?" Darth Plagueis suddenly asked, his question laden with deeper meaning. A sly smile crept across Darth Marthael's lips. Darth Maul's destiny is shrouded in ambiguity, seemingly oscillating between life and death. Yet, from what I've discerned, his path is far from concluded. In his soul, I perceived strength and perseverance, intertwined with a deep-seated fear. His destiny is exceedingly complex, Marthael mused, aware that his response would inevitably nudge Darth Plagueis closer to the precipice of death. Plagueis's inquiry into Darth Maul's fate was not without reason. Marthael held a crucial piece of the puzzle. According to the future envisioned by Darth Sidious, Darth Maul was destined to die. It was clear that Plagueis was also privy to Sidious's foresight, prompting his sudden question, particularly after the recent final trial that had stirred the remnants of Darth Tenebris within him. There could only be one explanation. Darth Plagueis was questioning his own ability to foresee the future. Had Marthael outright stated that Darth Maul would meet his end, it would have confirmed to Plagueis that the future visible to Sidious and Marthael was beyond his sight, potentially confirming his own inability to predict destiny. Instead, Malthael chose to respond with ambiguity, suggesting that Darth Maul's fate was unclear. This strategic vagueness left Plagueis in doubt, unsure whether his foresight was truly failing him, and thus more vulnerable to Sidious's machinations. As expected, Darth Plagueis merely nodded in contemplation and ceased his inquiries. Malthael continued, "The Jedi apprentice who was auctioned off met her demise at the hands of Darth Maul. After defeating Maul, I employed a resurrection spell to revive her. In her, I saw fear and anger, precursors to her inevitable fall to the dark side as a formidable Sith. Once healed, I will send her to you. If you deem her worthy of cultivation, then she is yours to keep," Plagueis dismissed with a wave of his hand. "Our plans for the planet Naboo are nearing fruition. This is a critical juncture. Do not engage in unnecessary diversions, including for yourself." "Understood, my lord," Malthael affirmed. "Is the Trade Federation mobilizing its fleet? Will you be participating?" Plagueis inquired. "The Galactic Republic lacks the means to thwart this blockade. The Trade Federation will succeed in seizing Naboo, subsequently granting us access to its plasma mines in abundance. There is no need for me to deploy forces to a battle already won. However, I will dispatch military observers," Malthael explained. "Very well, that will suffice." Plagueis consented before terminating the communication. Vol 2, Chapter 341, Sith Alchemy. In the Endor system, within the command center of the Glory Mothership, a female nurse approached Tang Xiao with an update. "Lord Governor, the Jedi apprentice has awakened. She is no longer a Jedi apprentice." "Refer to her by her name, Idra Caddis," Tang Xiao corrected gently, making his way towards the spaceship's medical center. "Yes, but..." The wound on her chest, inflicted by a lightsaber, was burned at an extremely high temperature, causing the tissue to necrotize completely. "Even with your treatment, the wound won't heal. Without further intervention, she won't survive more than a week," the nurse informed him. Acknowledging the nurse's report, Tang Xiao entered the medical center. At the heart of the room stood a Bacta tank over 3 meters tall, within which Idra Caddis floated, her body submerged in the healing liquid. Surrounding her were more than a dozen tiny robotic arms, meticulously removing the charred tissue and regenerating new tissue from stem cells. Additionally, 3 medical robots stood by, ready to address her trauma. Upon noticing Tang Xiao's arrival, Idra opened her eyes, fixing a steady gaze on him. Unlike before, her look was not one of panic at being seen in such a vulnerable state, but rather filled with questions, defiance, and anger. "You may leave," Tang Xiao gestured for the nurses to exit, leaving only the medical robots in the room. Approaching the Bacta tank, he addressed Idra with a calm demeanor. "I'm aware you have many questions, though you're unable to speak at the moment. Don't worry, I'll provide some answers." His gaze lingered on Idra's form as he continued. "Yes, you were killed by Darth Maul. And yes, I resurrected you. You must have sensed it by now. I, too, am a Sith, known as Darth Marthael." Idra's eyes widened in disbelief at his revelation. "Since your resurrection, an unexpected connection between our forces has formed, something I've never experienced before, not even with my master. The only explanation is the power of death. As its master, I control not only your life, but your soul as well," Darth Marthael explained, raising his hand to draw out a human-shaped phantom from Idra. She was powerless to resist, her consciousness momentarily separating from her body, causing her to panic silently. However, she soon found herself back in her body, staring at Darth Marthael with fear. The young-looking man before her, a Sith, indeed controlled her very soul. "But I prefer not to communicate in such a manner. You belong to me now, so consider what you might do for the world, or rather, for me," Marthael said, producing an exquisite crystal. It was a white kyber crystal, delicately shaped into hexagons and mounted on a spider-like device. "Have you heard of Sith alchemy?" Marthael's smile took on a sinister edge in the crystal's glow. "It's a technique forbidden by the Jedi Knights, one your master likely never mentioned. Even within the Jedi Order, fewer than 5 individuals are aware of it." He glanced at Idra, continuing, "Resurrecting you proved more challenging than anticipated, especially with the fatal wound on your chest. Darth Maul's lightsaber wielded a formidable force, combined with the devastating heat, making it nearly impossible for me to heal your wounds completely. So I sought advice from my master, who happens to be a master of this dark art. Fortunately, it seems my talent is quite adept. He manipulated the spider-like crystal device, hinting at the lengths he'd go to save her. Admiring his work, Darth Marthael shared, "Under my guidance, this creation has been completed." Idra gazed at him, her expression a mix of confusion and skepticism. Marthael elaborated, "However, embedding a kyber crystal directly into a human body, especially one sensitive to the Force, is unprecedented. I can't predict all the side effects, but two outcomes are certain. First, you will become entirely subservient to me. I won't even need to exert effort. Merely thinking could subject you to unimaginable torment. Second, the crystal will continuously heal the wounds inflicted by the Force, ensuring your survival." His smile turned sinister as he continued. "Thus I offer you a choice. Accept this forbidden transformation and become my vassal, or die with honor and freedom as a Jedi. Should you choose the latter, I will ensure your return to the Jedi Temple and inform the Order of your fate in the Draskor system, preserving your reputation. Consider your options carefully and inform me of your decision," he concluded, turning to leave. Before he could take a step, a sound from the containment jar caught his attention. Turning back, he met Adra's determined gaze. She bit her lip tightly and nodded in agreement to his terms. The surgery was completed without further incident. Darth Marthael stood over Adra Cadis, who lay exposed on the operating table. His gaze lingered on her pure sapphire skin before settling on the kyber crystal embedded in her chest. Encircling the crystal, a purple spider's 8 legs penetrated deeply into Adra's flesh, anchoring it securely. Under the influence of a mysterious power, the crystal emitted a soft glow. Marthael inhaled deeply, sensing the faint bond that now linked him to Adra. To his astonishment, this connection seemed to amplify his own Force abilities significantly. Adra opened her eyes, her gaze filled with a mix of revulsion and defiance as she looked at Marthael. "You are a monster," she spat. "Monsters may be the stuff of legend, but the Sith are very real," Marthael retorted. Adra's response was cold and mocking. "Sith? Perhaps to others, but our souls are now intertwined. I can see the flicker of light within the depths of your soul. You are not a true Sith." Marthael's expression darkened instantly. With a mere thought, Adra convulsed in agony, her scream piercing the silence. The pain that racked her soul was unbearable, and she fell from the table to the floor with a heavy thud. "Mind your place, and remember to address me as your master," Marthael snarled. From the ground, Adra mustered all her strength to shout, "I will bring you back to the light. I swear it by the Force." Without a backward glance, Marthael departed, leaving Adra alone with her pain and her vow.